Turbo pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll with Planet. Water towers fly! Starting downside FP off. FP off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right. I'm Jack Byer. Welcome to another NASA Spaceflight live stream of Starship testing from South Texas. We are, as always, brought this image by Mary at Boca Chica Gal on Twitter, who is out there, Boca Chica resident, operating the camera and capturing these views for us. And I am also joined by Michael Baylor in the background, running the overlays, doing the programming, and all that cool technical stuff. What's up, Michael?
How's it going, everyone? And as you can see, the methane recondenser is already on. We can see that condensation coming from behind his three black water tanks just to the bottom left of Starship SN8. So that means we are likely well under an hour away from the static fire attempt if everything goes well. So all is looking good, and stay tuned. We do not think this is going... I don't want to jinx it, but all indications are that this will be a shorter stream than last time. So that is exciting, because we were on air for 6 hours yesterday, and we did not get a static fire. So that was a bit disappointing, but that's how testing goes.
That's just how it goes. This is a test program, development program. It is not a flight for paying customers or an operation for paying customers. This is... SpaceX will do it as they are ready. All tests are met, everything exactly how they want it, or they do the test. They're not just going to test willy-nilly for fun. Everything has to be exactly right. So, so we're expecting a static fire today, and that recondenser is on. Yesterday, Michael said we were streaming for 6 hours. We did go live a little bit before we saw that recondenser active, I think is how that happened, how that worked out. And clearly, SpaceX must have encountered some sort of issue yesterday and ran the timeout in the window and only had time to conduct that wet dress rehearsal that we saw yesterday. So today we are expecting a static fire, probably a single engine static fire. And Michael, do we think this one? Yeah, from the header tank. So yes. Static fire, this will be the first static fire with a fully assembled Starship. The first time they've static fired with a nose cone on there. And, oh wow, look at that recondenser go. And this will be the first static fire from the header tank in the header tank in the nose. So a variety of firsts here. If they get this engine lit up, it'll be a historic moment in the development of Starship. And that is why we are currently engaged in our favorite pastime of Texas tank watching. We are looking at this tank farm spool up with some activity, and that is exactly the kind of thing that we want to see as we head into this testing flow. I'm going to jump over into our member Discord and take a look.
Tank farm activity. We've already progressed to that stage, so...
look at that, it feels like we're flying.
Yeah, Adrian says, based on yesterday's timeline, this would put a T0 around 4:05 p.m. local time. So, again, there could be like built-in holes and whatnot. That's an estimate, but based on previous testing sequences that we've seen. But approximately 35 minutes away from a static fire here.
So sometime around 4 p.m. local.
Correct.
Cool. I don't know if I'm going to regret doing this, but I just threw the bingo card generator into chat. So some members in our member Discord put together a bingo card. Because when we stream, we tend to say certain things repeatedly. So if you want to play bingo along with all of us, there's the card right there. And thank you to member JGA for putting that together. It's pretty funny. If you watched any of our streams, get at least a couple chuckles out of that bingo card. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have any questions, ask the question with @NASASpaceflight at the beginning of the question. That helps us see the question in our little software setup here that Michael has put together. So I will go through. Let's see, Martin Smith right off the bat. Could there be more than one test fired? I don't think so. We don't, obviously SpaceX doesn't tell us what is, what they're doing every day and what to expect. So things can always change, and I could always be wrong. But to me, they're going to want to fire that engine and then look at the data. So maybe they have enough time in the window to look at the data, but my gut would be that they're going to fire and then take some time, maybe even a day or two, to look at that data and then proceed with the next step in the process. So I don't think they would do 2 in a day, but you never know. Good question, though. Martin Smith, right off the bat. And Jeff Fillmore, right off the bat, with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Jeff. It really helps us, pay for equipment, pay for bandwidth, and pay for time. Thank you so much to everyone that super chats, especially Jeff, for $20, kicking everything off, and to all of our members. I'm super into our member Discord. I don't know if you can tell. I've mentioned it like 6 times already just in this broadcast, but it's a hoot. It really is. So if you feel like it, sign up for the membership there and pop into our Discord. I think you get it at, what is that, Capcom Access above? That's like the coolest perk, if you ask. Wow, Lockstock. Thank you so much. €50 super chat. Say thanks, guys. Really appreciate all the effort you put in. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Lockstock. There's a huge amount of money. I don't even want to, because the currency exchange too for euros, it's like that's way more than dollars. So seriously, thank you so much, everybody who is contributing. Adrian with the €10 contribution says member Discord equals best Discord. I would agree. And thank you so much. And Moldy Space, thank you for the $3. They say Merry Fan Club. Hashtag Merry Club. I think we're all in the Merry Club. Thank you everybody for the support. Let me look through here and find some questions, sir.
And I am back now, sorry. I was having to go through the long list of things I need to do to let everybody know that the stream has started up. But
no worries.
I tagged the members. I sent a notification to my app. I've done the tweet. I think we're good to go.
Excellent. Let's see. Michael Jarin Zach asks, are they firing all 3 engines at the same time or one by one until they get all 3 on? Well, good question. If you remember some of our previous discussions about how the space shuttle may start up, they kind of fire up at, I think, like 200 millisecond apart, which to the human eye isn't very obvious. To the computers and all the rocket systems and turbo pumps and all that, I'm sure is an eternity. Yeah, with this specific test today, we're only expecting 1 engine to fire. But when they do fire all 3 engines for a static fire or for launch, we don't know what that startup process is like for certain, but I would be very surprised if they started them all simultaneously and not sort of staggered in any way. But again, no official word on that. Somebody should probably at Elon on Twitter, and maybe we'll get an answer. Oh wow, Bill Sparks, $5. Hi again, looks like you're keeping on. Heck yeah, Bill Sparks, thank you for the $5. With your support, we will keep on keeping on. Handalock, thank you for €2. Am I the only one that, or do the flaps look super tiny? I mean, that's not a bad observation, Hanalock. It's, if you think about the space shuttle was originally supposed to have much different design and much smaller wings. But they didn't have enough funding. They couldn't get enough funding from Congress, so they went to the Air Force. And the Air Force demanded a variety of tweaks to the design to better suit the Air Force's needs. One of those things was the giant frickin' wings on there and the insane cross range that meant the shuttle was basically re-entering the atmosphere for an extended period of time and got way more heating than it would have otherwise, and yada, yada, yada. All that is to say, tiny wings good. Tiny wings good in this case because they only need to be big enough to provide control authority as it's falling through the atmosphere. It does not need to generate lift. It does not need to travel 1,000 miles cross range so it could land at the same launch site it took off from after nabbing a Soviet satellite on a single orbit, yada, yada, yada. It's, the flaps are only as big as they need to be. So yeah, they do kind of look small and compared to other vehicles, like say the space shuttle, but they are appropriate for the design of the vehicle, given its entry profile. But very good question, Maka. Thank you for the €2. Andy Law, thank you for the 10 curly L's. They say, hey all, thank you so much for what you do. Thanks, Mary, Chris B, and everyone on air involved behind the scenes. Thank you so much, Andy. is very awesome of you. Thank you, everybody, to contributing right off the bat on today's. I feel like we're jumping in with both feet here. Robert Donnelly, thank you for the €5. Say shout out to my girlfriend who still doesn't understand why I stay up at night watching 6-hour stream of a grain silo. For sure, Robert. Hopefully your girlfriend looks at you the way that you look at the grain silo. I'm kidding. She's got to be understanding, right? Because she's not just like, why do you do this? Stop doing it. Or maybe she is. But either way, thanks for the support, both from you and from your girlfriend. Just putting up with your tank watching. And Michael, again, with the, what is that? I'm just going to say 25 currency. And say, may the force be with us all today, especially with Starship. Agreed. And Ron Smith, 59. Shout out to Chris B for all he has done. Just hope you are doing. That's a good one. Chris B, we know he's doing okay, but definitely sending him some love after the last couple days. He's had a little bit of a nonsense with the. Well, he's had a little bit of nonsense. Let's just say that. Thank you so much, Ron Smith. And then Infinite Puffin. What's up, Infinite Puffin? 1313. I feel like that could be unlucky though. Thank you for the super chat. And they say Texas Tank Watcher Space Coast chapter. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, and Infinite Puffin. All right, let me look for some questions here.
Somebody, Jim Myers had asked, how can I find a Discord channel? If you are, I don't know, I have no way to check your membership easily, but if you are a Capcom or higher member, go into your Discord settings and connect your YouTube channel to Discord, and then within an hour you will have access to the Discord server. But that brought up a good point, because people seem to have trouble figuring that out, so I just added a Discord command with Nightbot. So if you type !Discord in chat, there we go. Nightbot will now send you a link with instructions. So if you're a YouTube moderator and somebody asks how to get access to Discord, we now have a command you can use to help them out.
Awesome. That's super helpful. Thank you. Yeah, it can be a little bit tricky to find it, but once you're in, you are in. It is no longer tricky. It's just that first step of getting the YouTube linked up with the Discord or whatever. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Cool deal. Well,
I can go on a rant, but the YouTube process does not have a good way when somebody becomes a membership to like send them clear instructions, like do X, Y, and Z after you become a member to get your member perks. I don't like that, but anyway, there is now a command in Nightbot.
let's see. William Knapp, one of our members, says, in the future, we will find this shot as primitive. It's remarkable, but it's true. In the same way that SN8 has made previous vehicles like serial number 5 and serial number 6, and even Starhopper, look hilarious by comparison, eventually serial number 8 itself will be made look hilarious by succeeding vehicles, and that's something we can look forward to. Let's see.
Quickly, one member told me in Discord that it's better if you connect to Discord, your YouTube account to your Discord on a desktop device. Apparently the phone might have some issues. I've never tried doing it on my phone, so I don't know myself, but perhaps if you're having issues on mobile, try doing it on the Discord desktop app.
Are you playing bingo, Michael? Because I am.
When you get a bingo, you have to yell it out.
Yeah, but I guess it's a kind of a conflict of interest, because I'm the one. I pledge to not say things solely because it's on the bingo card. How about that? But no, really, I'm.
And I'm also, Adrian is telling me we should be a minute or two away from the bottom venting, but it is hard to tell with that condensation.
The what we call the triangle vent, sometimes somewhat.
No, I think he means coming out from the skirt, not from the sides of the skirt, from the base of the vehicle. Yeah. So it should be from where the engines are, essentially.
Yep, got my eyes peeled. I'm looking at the base of the vehicle and that pad area right there of kind of condensation coming, sort of wafting downward out of that skirt Let's see. Melon Coaster asking, are only the header tanks going to be filled or the mains as well? What do you think, Michael? I mean, we don't have an official word on that one way or the other.
Yeah, it's a really good question. We were talking about last night when they were doing the test that, theoretically during the landing, they would have already consumed propellant in the main tank. So you would think if they were going to test like they fly, you would only want propellant, or at least most of the propellant, only in the header tanks, because that's how it would be when they do the landing burn after the pop. So if I had to guess, it would possibly just be the header tanks and nothing more than that, but I don't know for sure.
Part of me does wonder, like we were talking about yesterday, if they would want to thermally cycle sort of everything in the main tanks and then drain the main tanks and then fire from just the header tanks full. But it seems like a lot also. But, you never know quite exactly what their test flow is. Surely they have a large checklist, number of different objectives, which culminates in a static fire. There are other objectives that they can accomplish from a variety of ways. But yeah, we don't know if Philip or just the headers. But good question. Simon asking, when they do the 15-kilometer flight, will it launch from where it is right now? Yes, that is correct. It is currently on what we understand to be called suborbital pad A, and next to that is suborbital pad B, and then across the way is the orbital pad, which is still under construction. But suborbital pad A is the one that we saw serial number 5 take off from, serial number 6 take off from, and the previous iteration of pad A was where Starhopper, right? Or wait, maybe the pad didn't exist when Starhopper flew. I think maybe Starhopper was kind of standing on the ground by itself. Now I'm second guessing. Either way, all the flights so far have taken place from whether or not that mount there.
Yeah. And I am progressing the timeline to propellant loading. It's really hard for us to see right now, but based on the timelines we've seen before, they should be well underway with propellant loading at this point.
It's extremely hard to see with that cloud of condensation between us and the pad, but it does look like there's some condensation coming out underneath the base of the vehicle, like we were just talking about. So we're following a timeline almost exactly. Would you agree that there's condensation coming from under the skirt? It's minor, but I feel like
I think there probably is.
Take it to a bigger. Hang on a second. I'm squinting at my iPad.
It's really hard to tell, though.
Yeah, with the heat distortion, with the condensation between us and it, but it does look like there is. But good question, Simon. Sebastian asks, "Is this the final static fire before test?" I assume you mean the 15-kilometer test flight, and we don't think so. We think there will be additional static fires between. Cody W asking, "Pri-vent is the engine fill, right?" That's what we think. We don't know, but that was my guess, and I think a couple other people's as well. So
if we're thinking a couple of minutes past the hour for the static fire, we should be seeing that Pri-vent start up in the next couple of minutes or so.
Copy that.
And then remember, a couple minutes after that, we saw some really cool venting from the nose cone yesterday. So.
Oh man, I really hope we see that.
Yeah, and it's gonna be daytime this time. Yesterday it happened at night. Ooh, there's some venting. The tri-venting is starting. It looks
Bingo.
like it's just 2 vents to start with, which is exactly what we saw yesterday. And then the third one came in a few minutes later. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing the header tank venting into daytime this time.
Yeah, that was so cool to see. It was like kind of coming out of this seam between those forward flaps and the nose cone, right? At least that's what it looked like. Could have been wind direction, it could have been a number of things, but that was a very interesting vent, and I remember thinking yesterday, oh man, I want to see that during the. So hopefully the flow follows the same process that we saw yesterday, or continues. So far, so good. So that LOX header tank should be in a few minutes if we're still following the timeline. Adrian in our member Discord saying the tri-vent should now start at 3:53 local and 30 seconds after the nose cone. I absolutely love the level of precision we're starting to get to with the number of data points that we have, and obviously things keep changing as the vehicle itself keeps. So our timeline could be totally wrong, or it could change. But as of right now, we've been following it pretty dead on in this particular testing flow and in these tests in general. So super cool.
Yeah, I guess
KNSU in our
I'll hold
member
off on
Discord.
calling it the tri-vent until we actually have all three going.
Yeah, now it's just a bi-vent, right? I guess.
We'll add a status for bi-vent.
KNSU Colorado in our member Discord asking, maybe I've missed where it was explained, but why is it called the tri-vent? It's nothing mind-blowing. There's just three. There's three of those vents. Right now we only see two active. One kind of pointing at us and one kind of behind that left flap on the rear and sort of pointing to frame left there. And if you remember, on serial number 5 and serial number 6, which only had one Raptor in, there was only one of those vents, and it was that same one that we can see now behind that flap and behind that white vertical tank. And with the addition of 3 Raptors on serial number 8, that behavior has. There is no longer one of those. There are 3 of those, and so one of us, probably delirious from hours and hours and hours, no sleep, and being on stream and trying to come up with cool stuff to say that doesn't sound stupid. We called it a tri-vent. So that's all it is. We just called it a tri-vent. It's not any kind of technical term or anything. It's basically a meaningless term because there's the only meaning it has is there's 3 vents, calling it a tri-vent. But again, right now there's only 2 active.
Yeah, I'm actually adding a Wallops bi-venting status because with the header tank, this seems to be part of the process that we've seen 2 nights in a row now.
Yeah, so this could totally be the new flow, as it were. I'm also sort of wondering, though, if, since we're only expecting a single engine static fire, that has something to do with the way that we're seeing the flow progress. When and if they do a 3-engine static fire again, I'm very curious to see if those 3 vents fire up simultaneously or if they are staggered. That'll be a very useful data point and perhaps let us discern a little bit more what we're seeing as we see it. But probably several days away at least from that, and probably several days away at least from a 15-kilometer flight. Again, we are expecting multiple static fires before we get to 15-kilometer flight promised land. But we will get there. Rest assured. We will get there.
So there is the tri-venting now. There we go.
Bam. And so if you remember from serial number 8's previous 3-engine static fire, and if you remember from SN5 and SN6 flights, those vents, at least one of them, will do a sort of a very rapid jet of liquid oxygen as the engine starts up. That's sort of one of those telltale things you can look for. So keep your eyes on those tri-vents, particularly that back right just started up.
And I am going to add a countdown. I think we're looking at 2 minutes past the hour based on our previous data.
All right.
Approximately, of course.
Cool. It's crazy to me that we're so close after streaming for 6 hours. It's almost like a continuation of yesterday. I mean, stream for 6 hours and almost nothing happens. We haven't even been live for an hour yet. Around 10 minutes away. Should we be hearing a siren, Michael?
Yeah, I don't know if the siren is going to happen before the nose cone venting or what exact order it's going to be. Oh, somebody said they saw a small vent from the nose cone. And I think I'm seeing it too. Yes, yeah, there is a small vent from the nose cone already. So we'll progress to nose cone venting. Just at the very top, or not just below the very top, if you look closely, you can see a small vent. But the header tank has propellant in it, clearly.
Very cool. It almost looks a little bit discolored. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but siren again. The siren is not like exactly 10 minutes. It's often off by a few minutes, just depending on how quickly the radio message gets sent out. So we're approximating between 9 and 10 minutes right now.
Copy that. All right, well, before things get really, really real, I'm going to step away and refresh my beverage. I will be right back. It's all you.
Okay, sounds good. If we don't hear the siren within the next minute, I will remove the timers. They can always have built-in holds that delay things further, but per the previous testing flows again, which is just an approximation, we think we're under 10 minutes for a static fire now. There is a siren. So, very exciting. And again, that siren is often slightly late for some reason, so I think it may be less than 10 minutes from when that when that siren occurred towards the static fire. Peter, thank you for the weirdo check currency. It doesn't let me send something normal. Well, we appreciate the support, Peter. Unlock, thank you for the £2. I just want to see Starship in a blockbuster movie. Yeah, hopefully in a couple decades from now, they'll be making movies about Starship like they did with Apollo. No, thank you also for the £5, or €5, excuse me. My employees told a client their boss is a nerd who watches rockets on YouTube. His reply is, sure, me too. Thanks for inspiring folks all over the world. And finally, ordinary programmer, a regular of the stream with $5. Imagine if SpaceX surprised us and actually do a 15-kilometer hop. That would be grand. Well, I don't know about that. If this thing flies today, that would be a problem, but hopefully the 15-kilometer hop is going to be not too far away. I think it's certainly possible that could happen this month. So looking forward to that 15-kilometer hop. And of course, today we are expecting a single-engine static fire using the liquid oxygen header tank for the first time. So this is the first time that the small liquid oxygen tank in the tip of the nose cone is going to be supplying the liquid oxygen that is used for today's engine firing. This is also the first static fire to have a nose cone attached to Starship at all. So Mary's footage that she's capturing right now will be the first time that we see a full Starship vehicle ignite its engine. Or in this case, a single engine, but do any sort of engine firing. So lots of exciting firsts to see happen in just over 5 minutes, we're thinking right now.
It's crazy how fast we've progressed into this flow today. They must have figured out what the issue was last night and fixed it overnight, and we're ready and raring to go today. Look at all those birds. Very cool. We are hopefully very, very close to a single engine static fire here. A lot of people asking why single engine, and I believe, although I don't know, that and this is a guess, that when they do the landing burn, they will use a single engine to pitch the vehicle in the appropriate attitude, and then they will fire up two other engines to slow and stop. I don't think they'll land on. I think it's sort of like a one engine starts up and then two engines starts up as the one shuts down. I'm not quite sure, but basically all of that is that we think it's a single engine static fire because that's part of how the landing burn will go, either with a single engine or two engines or what. Or I could be totally wrong. They could just be, wanting to test each engine individually before they test them all together. It's really anybody's guess, but I suspect it has something to do with how they are anticipating that landing burn to go.
And interestingly, Adrian says it is less time for a header tank static fire, it appears, based on when we saw the recondenser start and the now expected T0 in just under 5 minutes. So perhaps that is a sign that they're putting a lot less propellant into the vehicle since they're just going to use the header tanks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Look at that small little vent facing us on the nose cone. That's cool.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen that big vent we saw from the nose cone yet, though, like we saw yesterday, unless I missed it.
No, I don't think so either. But I just stepped away, so I couldn't miss it also.
And again, that countdown clock you're seeing on the top left of your screen right now is not official. That is an approximate based on the siren we heard and our previous tests that we've observed. We have a spreadsheet that the members keep track of where they write down every data point from every previous test, and then we go back and reference that to make predictions on where we are right now. And we're thinking just under 4 minutes currently.
Caveman asking, how many engines will be fired up for the 15-kilometer hop? All 3. Let's go for a walk asking, why isn't there any frost? And that could kind of go, we were just talking about with the header tank static fire progressing faster than other static fires that we've seen. It could just be that there's no propellant in either the LOX CH4 tank, and we're just doing operations from the header tank only, right, which are internal to the vehicle in a way that we probably wouldn't see frost. All right, really quick before we get too close to action time here, thank you everybody for supporting the stream. Thank you Stanislav for the support. Thank you Span for the $5. Thank you David for the $20. Wow, thank you David. Say thanks for keeping us all in the loop with spectacular SpaceX on-site journalism. Well done, gals. Thank you David, and thank you Nissi for the 20 currency. Thank you everybody for the support. Thank you to all of our members for helping us bring you these live feeds. Here we go. Let's watch this thing happen.
And since we're under 2 minutes now, we will hide the ticker. I'm also going to put the countdown clock back to the local time. Again, it's just an estimate, so I don't want to have that on and then the static fire happens at T-minus 1 minute and 20 seconds. So we will go back to local time, but static fire could occur anytime in the next few minutes. And again, they also could have built-in holds. So just because we heard the siren 10 minutes ago does not mean the static fire is going to happen in exactly 10 minutes. They could have an issue. They could hold for a couple of minutes and then restart the countdown. So the approximate T0 is constantly up in the air. And unless Elon tweets, we're going to static fire in a minute, we don't know for sure. Okay, so our estimated time is 4:02, and we have not seen a static fire yet, although I could say that it could happen any second, but again, remember there could always be, our estimate could be off, there could be a built-in hold, they could have to call an unplanned hold because something is not quite right, we just don't know, so stay tuned, and a static fire could happen any minute.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled on those dry vent that back right vent to the right of that right side aft flap there, if it follows the behaviors we've seen previously, should shoot out a jet of high pressure, high velocity oxygen right as the sequence starts up. So keep your eyes peeled. That'll be a good indicator. We should be able to see some activity there, despite this large cloud of condensation that is between us and the bottom of the pad there. Still be pretty visible.
Okay, so now we're at 403, so I'm starting to lean towards a potential hold right now. We've not seen the detanking vents or the depressing vents, so there is still absolutely a chance there could be a static fire in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and there's any number of reasons why they could hold. Maybe the LOX wasn't, maybe the CH4 wasn't the right time, or maybe they were, too right. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But yeah, there's a variety of reasons they could enter a hold like this right at the last moment, but still does not preclude static fire here shortly, like he said.
You can see frost on the header tank pretty clearly right now too.
Oh wow, look at that. That's good catch.
And I'm going to turn the ambient up here a little bit even more. It might be hard for you to hear our commentary now, but I want you to hear Raptor roar nice and loud. So.
Yeah, I'm basically just going to shut up while we wait for a little bit, and if it's like 5 minutes go by and nothing happens, maybe I'll start answering some questions again. But for now, I'm just going to be quiet in case it lights up.
Header tank stopped venting. That might be a sign. And it looks like they might be depressing. I don't know for sure though.
It only looks like one. It only looks like it's coming out of the LOX, not the methane.
That they aborted.
Dope.
Welcome everyone to testing.
It is a test campaign. It's not an operational system yet. You got to test a whole bunch to get things right. Imagine if we had a camera on the Kwajalein Atoll. Well, in the Falcon 1 days, sure there was a lot of this type of activity as they worked out all the kinks in the system and worked out all the kinks in the flow and, got the vehicle ready to go.
Well, remember everyone, just because they aborted does not mean they cannot recycle, but we did see that extended depress, which is a telltale sign of an abort. So now we wait and see. But it was really interesting, Jack, because did you notice we only saw one of the depress vents, but we normally see two, and I think that's because the liquid oxygen tank had nothing in it, but I'm not positive. I think there's only liquid oxygen in the header tank, not the main tank, which is why we only saw one depress vent.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That would make sense. Commander Large Marge says, Imagine if you had to test each one of your Kerbal Space Program rockets. That's hilarious. No thanks. And well, honestly, I don't know how you guys build Kerbal rockets, but for me, it's very much trial and error because I'm not DOS, right? I don't know. Oh, the center of mass here and yada yada. Like I build a rocket, I launch it, I get to like 15,000 feet, and it flips over and goes all wonky. And I'm like, all right, I guess gotta build it again. And then I repeat and repeat and repeat. And it's not the most efficient way to play Kerbal, but it is kind of like that.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Harry, on the Discord. I still had the ambient up for the static fire. So I'll turn that down a bit so you can actually hear us again, because they might be recycling, they might not be, but I don't think it's going to be within the next couple of minutes. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we didn't see a full depressor, so probably a recycle. Hopefully a recycle. They've got plenty of time in this window. That should be on the bingo card. They've got plenty of time left in this window. Oh, gosh. Core Wilkes, thank you for the membership. Welcome to PadRat, buddy. PadRats get the member videos before the daily videos go live, and you get sweet member emoji. I'm gonna throw a double bob in chat. No, triple bob. Bam. We need to get on adding more emoji. I know we have a bunch of extra slots. But thank you so much, Core, for the membership. And Eric C, thank you for the $5.99. I don't think that's the drone, but this was, when did you ask this? Oh, I don't get more. Darn it. I don't think we've seen the drone up yet today. I probably would have noticed it, but could have just been a bird, but I could be wrong. And Kadar, God, oh God, I'm sorry, Kader. However you say your name, I apologize. Thank you for the Norwegian chrono. We appreciate the support. Ooh, and Pal Ellings, the new membership, buddy. Coming in at PadRat. A lot of people saying they saw the drone, so I guess I'm wrong. Must have just missed it, or maybe it was while I was refreshing my beverage. But thanks for that, chat. Things definitely look to have calmed down significantly, but that doesn't mean they won't pick back up again at any moment. And as I say that, the methane recondenser, I'm here, bro.
So you can now see that condensation pretty clearly towards the liquid oxygen tank on Starship. Even if there's not liquid oxygen in that tank, I'm sure they probably pressurize it like it would be during a flight, so it could still get chilly.
Oh, I only need 2 squares to win bingo. If you guys have questions at NASASpaceflight, that helps us see the question. I'll go through and answer some right now while we wait for further development.
Oh, lots of memberships today.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Zach.
Zach Ellis. Go for it, Mike.
Zach Ellis.
Padrat.
Padrat. You check the ranks. I will read the names.
Okay.
Spike.
Red team.
Spike WR666. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but thank you.
Rufus is in at Padrat.
Nice. And what about Ted?
Capcom. Thank you so much. You get Discord access with your Capcom membership. Again, you might have heard us talking about it earlier. It's a little bit tricky to get in, but once you're in, pop in and say, hey, look at us, look at all our horrible rocket, our cursed rocket emote. And look at that, Tank Farm's picking back up again.
Yeah, so hopefully they can recycle this.
I don't know if you're able to pop over to the Starship, but Adrian has a breakdown of data points from the abort that we just saw. Pretty useful. Thanks, Adrian. Brother John asking, and maybe if it was a purposeful abort, wet dress rehearsal to then purposely recycle. No. They wouldn't do a siren for the wet dress. Good question, but no. Someone asking, how long does a recycle take? I think we're about to find out. Kimmy asking, how long is the window? It goes until 9 p.m. local. So you can see on the upper left side of the image there, it is 4:15 p.m. local right now. So they have till 9 p.m. It's under 5 hours. Yeah, a lot of people asking about the wet dress rehearsal. No, it's not a wet dress rehearsal because they did the siren. They don't do a siren for wet dress rehearsals. They do it for static fire activity. So that was not a wet dress rehearsal. That was an abort. It was an aborted static fire attack. LSR Priel asking, how are the Falcon 9 fairings doing? Still chilling on deck? Do you have fleet cam up, Michael? Do you have that capability, or is that a DOS specialty?
I do. I have to make sure it is spooled up first, but the fairings have been offloaded actually, so we cannot see them right now. But I can show you what is on fleet cam. Let's take a look.
If you guys don't know what fleet cam is, it's a camera that we have had the fortune to install there in Port Canaveral, looking at SpaceX's area of the port. And so we have eyes on their activities there, as well as Boca Chica at all times. Gotta love fleet cam. And we can do it because of support from our members and from viewers and super chatters like you. So there is a 24/7 live fleet cam stream if you want to ever go hang out and watch fleet cam activity when we're not live streaming these Boca Chica tests. Don't forget, fleet cam exists. And Gareth, welcome to Padrat. Cool name, Gareth.
We're still waiting to see what's going to happen from here. For just joining us, we believe they are nearly certain at this point they aborted the static fire attempt because it's been long past 10 minutes now since the T-minus siren came on. However, we still think there could be a possibility of a recycle, so we're going to stay live until there's a chance of a static fire today. The window does last until 9 p.m. Central Time, and you can see on the top right-hand side of, or top left-hand side of your screen right now, it is 4:19 p.m. Central Time. So still plenty of time to make another attempt today. If that is a possibility, we're not sure if that's going to be like a 30-minute recycle or a 2-hour recycle, but stay tuned, and as soon as we know more, we will let you know. And speaking of fleet cam, here is the current view.
Nice.
As you can see, just read the instructions. It is still in port. That should be leaving momentarily to head out for the Crew 1 recovery attempt with B-1061. That is the Falcon 9 first stage, which will be launching the 4 crew members to the space station. So keep an eye on fleet cam to see when that drone ship departs, but it should be most likely within the next 24 hours or so if that launch date of Saturday stays as the current plan. Again, Fleet Cam is located at Port Canaveral, or at Rusty's, specifically at Port Canaveral. Rusty's is the local restaurant that is partnering with us for Fleet Cam. And if you want to check out Fleet Cam, there is a separate live stream on our channel running 24/7 where you can keep your eye on the SpaceX fleet at Port Canaveral.
Zach Ellis saying, yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, Zach, if you just synced your account, it can take up to an hour. If you synced your account, yesterday, that might be a problem. So let us know which one of those it is. But it does take up to an hour for Discord to sync everything properly.
I do wish that whole process was easier, and I apologize to all of our members that have to kind of jump through the hoops to get the things connected, but
it's because Discord is a separate company, and YouTube has strict rules for how often you can use their API. So rather than spamming the YouTube API, I think Discord only refreshes it for you every hour or something like that.
Mad Eyes, go for it.
Go ahead.
Mad Eyes asking, will they replace Merlin engines on Falcon 9 once they've fully tested as with Raptor? They replace Merlin Raptors? No, they won't. Because it basically just make Falcon 9 an entirely new vehicle, which is already what they're building.
was gonna say,
Zach is saying he just sunk it just now.
yeah. I was about to say, I think they're probably detanking right now, but I don't know for sure. But we're just not seeing much activity from the tank farm right now, and that, actually, come to think of it, the fact that we're not seeing much triangle vent action right now is a pretty good sign they've detanked, I think. Or are in the process of detanking. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
it sure looks like it. I mean, they're kind of doing that standard thing we see when they're detanking, where
Yeah.
they sort of peter out, right? It's like when you're holding a can of canned air and it's barely got anything left in it. It's just kind of like fizzling out there.
So we're gonna move our recycle place in the timeline, question mark, to after detanking, because remember, they could still detank and then recycle later. So recycle remains a possibility, but it is not going to be the type of thing where they just recycle right away without having to fully detank and restart the countdown.
Viper asked, did you already answer this about the scar-looking stripe down SN8?
Nope, go for it.
That be like some sort of plumbing run. I'm not quite sure what they're running through there, but it could even just be electrical conduit. But it certainly looks like we've seen that thing thrust up before, right? That vertical pipe kind of down the dorsal side here that we're looking at.
Yeah, it's definitely some sort of plumbing. I think there's some electrical wires as well, but it's basically a raceway of some sort.
Yep. It's not like a manufacturing defect or anything like that, or it's not where like they didn't line up the seams on all the ring place or anything. It's just that's just the way the lighting looks right now. There's a pipe running vertically up and down the vehicle, right?
James Thompson, thank you for the £5. James asks, hey guys, thank you as always. What is the purpose of the tank in the nose? Surely this is where the payload will go on the final version. Great question, James.
Yeah.
So the tank on the nose is actually going to be there for the final version. The reason is that the vehicle is very aft heavy because of the big engines at the bottom of it. So when they're re-entering the atmosphere, it would be pretty unstable if all the mass is at the base. So instead, they put a header tank at the top tip of the nose cone that will contain the liquid oxygen that they will use for landing burn. And that mass in the liquid oxygen tank will help offset the mass difference and move the center of mass of the vehicle up a bit. So that's the reason for the header tank being in the nose cone. It's actually a very small header tank. It's just up in the very tip of the nose cone, so it doesn't take up too much potential payload volume, but that is why the header tank is up there.
It is curious that it does take up some payload volume in that nose cone, and I mean in the renders that we've seen from SpaceX, which obviously aren't final and are just that, a render, but in the renders we've seen from SpaceX, that area seemingly is occupied by windows. So very curious how that design may or may not evolve over time, or what's going on there. But definitely, it's not a huge amount of space, but it's there, it's taking up space, and then in the very tip of the nose cone.
So Steven has a follow-up question. Where do you think the plumbing goes long term? It can't stay on the outside, right? Well, the side it's currently on is sort of the top of the Starship when it re-enters. So that part will get the least amount of heating. So potentially it could stay there. I think it'll probably have something more robust than the current model, but that being said, there is a potential to have some more exposed elements on that side of the vehicle. It's the other side that's going to have all the heat tiles and be taking the majority of the heat experienced on reentry. And Maury says that the renders were fixed in the most recent version, so that's good. I still need to fix the lunar Starship render, though. That has some problems in it.
Yeah, the weird like single sea level Raptor that's got like the red bell indicating it was burning or something like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And again, if you're just joining us, I will recap what we were expecting to see today, which was a single engine static fire with the liquid oxygen header tank and the tip of the nose cone. Of course, that did not happen, but we were not expecting a hop today. We get that question a lot, is the hop today? If the hop is today, you can guarantee that the title of the stream will be Starship SN8 attempts 15-kilometer test flight or something super exciting. If it says static fire, no chance of a hop today.
Yep. Pretty clear delineation there.
A certain someone from Australia is back at it with $15 Australian, and of course, that means Blake Parsons has showed up. Thank you so much, Blake.
What up, Blake? Thank you so much for the non-stop support. You're crazy. Like Das says, you're our clown.
That is for sure. Thank you so much again, Blake, and we really appreciate your continuous support of the live stream here. It really helps make it happen, and I'm sure the rest of the chat also appreciates Blake helping to fund it, because without people like Blake, this amazing view from Mary would not be possible, because the data it takes to get a signal with a live stream camera in a remote location is not cheap. So thank you so much, Blake.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It is not cheap. So thank you, Blake. Thank you, Blake.
So we're not seeing any venting from Starship anymore. Actually a little bit, but not the same sustained venting. It's more of a petering out. So I think I see a little bit coming from the aft skirt right now, but definitely looks like they have detanked most of Starship's propellant right now. So I mean, if I had to guess at this point, I would say the most likely scenario is that we see vehicles return to the pad, work on the Starship, and then decide if they're going to make another attempt tonight or not. They still have 3.5 hours remaining in the window, which I did not do that math correctly at all. They still have 4.5 hours remaining in the test window, so still plenty of time to do this. And I'm
glad it's not just me that fails at math on like my head on the fly. I'm glad. Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking at that 4 and up, and I'm like, that does not sound right. Yes, the window closes at 9 p.m. Central Time, so that is what they're working with in terms of getting a static fire done today. But if they cannot do it today for whatever reason, they have another window tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time, so In fact, I can even show, because there's not much activity at the pad right now, I will quickly show the road closures for this week. So it's currently the 11th. It's the 10th. I've screwed up again. It's currently the 10th, but road closure is also scheduled on the 11th, 12th, 13th. And I don't know why that 8th is out of order. I need to fix that. It's probably something weird on the Cameron County website. But anyway, every day this week, that's a weekday, has a testing opportunity. Of course, the weekends do not have tests unless it's like really late on a Sunday, but typically no testing on weekends because they try to keep the beach open for the public. So that's what we're looking at for testing opportunities for the remainder of this week.
Wow, KH Banner, welcome to Launch Director. Thank you so much, bud.
Wow. That's
Seriously, thank you. And you've probably heard us talk about the Discord already on the stream. When you get that sunk up and wait a little bit for it to propagate, just, pop on in the Discord and say hey. Thank you so much for the support, bud. All of our launch directors and our flight engineers, thank you. And really all of our members. Super awesome, all of you. You might know this one. I'm kind of out of the loop on crew and what's going on at Kennedy right now. Viper's asking, were there just some astronauts or something flown to Kennedy?
Yeah, they're talking about the Crew 1 crew. They arrived a couple days ago on that private jet. So,
Oh, that's right. They had to take a private jet.
yep, all the NASA aircraft were taken, so they flew them on a private jet. But I mean, the NASA aircraft they would have flown them on anyway were essentially a private jet, but they were owned by NASA. This was a separately contracted private jet because all the NASA aircraft were unavailable. But anyway, there are 4 crew members now at KSC. They're scheduled to launch on Saturday at 7:49 p.m. Eastern Time, and I hope I got that right because I have not been doing well with numbers today, clearly. But Saturday evening, there will be a launch with 4 crew members from Kennedy Space Center, and that is super exciting because this will be the first operational launch for Crew Dragon. The previous crew launch was a test flight. This will be the first proper crew rotation mission for about 6 months. So super exciting to see this happen. It will also be the first time that 4 astronauts are launched in a capsule. So that's going to be exciting as well. Of course, the space shuttle had more than 4 astronauts launching it at once, but that was not a capsule.
Says you. No,
Jack, are you just showing off your space shuttle hate right now?
no. And to be fair, I do hate the space shuttle. But I mean, if you know anything about me, you know I also love the space shuttle. I'm not quite so tribalistic, and I'm not quite so nothing is black and white, right? Like a lot of things are both good and bad in various ways. So the shuttle was awesome. It's an absolutely stunning machine, super cool vehicle, and a super cool engineering accomplishment. Holy cow, to side sling a massive heavy orbiter like that on the stack and successfully launch it, that's just madness. I mean, the massive solid booster, madness. The crazy RS-25 engines, the fact that they're so efficient, reusable, madness. But boy, do I hate this, because it stranded us in low Earth orbit for the last 30 years. And I'm glad I miss it. At the same time, I miss it. But am I glad the shuttle.
I mean, it certainly had its unique capabilities. It was able to deploy very complex and large elements of the space station, for instance, into low Earth orbit, and the servicing missions of the Hubble Space Telescope, for instance, were also very complex.
Those, I think, are shuttle's crowning achievement, in my opinion. I'm not like a definitive shuttle guy or whatever. Just from my point of view, shuttle launching and then repeatedly fixing the Hubble has got to be shuttle's greatest achievement. And in a perfect world, fixing the Hubble would not have even been necessary, although I guess the refurbishing probably still would have been. But that initial mission Hubble to fix and correct the wonky mirror, seriously, holy, what an accomplishment. But yeah, boo shuttle. At the risk of getting crispy.
I would just say it had its good things and it had its bad things, and the good things have paid off in a big way. So that was definitely a good asset to have in terms of our spaceflight progress. Getting to Hubble launch, the International Space Station is probably one of the all-time greatest achievements. Certainly one of the all-time greatest achievements in terms of spaceflight, at least. And now I think it was canceled at about the right time. It was certainly time to move on to something safer when the space shuttle was canceled.
I think it should have been canceled after Challenge.
Yeah,
but that's me.
Well, the challenge would have been assembling the International Space Station without it, I guess.
But for sure. But yeah.
In hindsight, yes, I agree. But I guess hindsight's always 20/20 is the saying. But
as great as the International Space Station is, it's a much harder sell to the general public to illustrate the benefits that it has provided us, which are numerous and huge. But it's a lot easier to say, look, here's this thing we launched, get it back, and fix it. As with Hubble or like with Apollo, it's like, we can land on the moon. It's big. It's like a big, set piece achievement that you can point to. And while the shuttle did have the space station, the general public might, I don't know, it might be a little bit harder sell, is what I'm getting at. But either way, I think that's shuttle digression for now. Mad Dog, and I'm not trying to say that to shut you up. I'm trying to say it to shut me up. Mad Dog, thank you for the $10 super chat. Blake Parson, again. Blake, what's up? Thank you for the $22.99 Australian. You're crazy, Blake. Thank you so much. Let's see. Crafty New Guy, thank you for the new membership. Where did you come in at, Crafty? Capcom, so much, Paul. Again, you get Discord access. Please pop into Discord when you get a chance. And say hey. And Reese, thank you for the $4.99 curly L's. They say, Crew 1 flew in on a Falcon jet and are taking a Falcon to the ISS. Couldn't make it up. Yeah, that's a good point. Like so many things in 2020, it feels like it's like a season finale and the writers are throwing everything. It's like, wow, the writers for this episode really did a good job. Thank you so much for the support there, Reese.
Jessica asks, how come we can't see the dents in SN8 like we did on SN5 and 6 when they were not pressed? I think honestly just SN8 is probably a lot better, a much higher build quality, so it's less prone to denting. There was several days ago, there was one day when we did see some dents forming at the pad. I think they got this buffed out, or at least they pressurized the vehicle to avoid that happening, but in general, I think the build quality of SN8 is by far a big step up over SN5 and SN6. And according to Elon on Twitter, it's only going to get drastically better, so.
Yeah, it's crazy that we no longer have that to look at and how much they've improved the build quality.
I think the nose cone's the big thing that needs improvement just from a visual standpoint. I have no analysis of like, this part is the weakest point on the vehicle, but just looking at it, I would say maybe the nose cone and both the sets of flaps are what just look to be the most, the most I don't know what the right word for it is, but the least polished, I guess, is what I would go with. I think the actual barrel section and the tank section and the top part of the nose cone, or the bottom portion of the nose cone, excuse me, looks pretty polished, but the tip, the part of the nose cone that actually curves inward, and then the flaps look kind of very early stage prototype to me.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree with that.
You can clearly see each piece of steel that was welded together into the nose cone. It doesn't look very smooth, and the flaps kind of look like tin foil. So I'm sure those will get more polished as time goes on. Tom says back to tank watching. Yep. When the static fire gets aborted, the tank watching with not much happening begins. But as soon as there's, or as long as there's any chance of a test today, we'll stay live in case they make an attempt to recycle. As far as we know, the road is still closed, the pad is still clear. And the next thing we're looking for is basically to see the pad potentially reopen, and then whether or not the road reopens too will be the question. If the pad reopens and teams return to the pad, but the road stays closed, that's a sign that they are just going to fix the issue and likely make another attempt if they can. But if the pad reopens and they also remove the checkpoint near the road where Mary's at right now, that'll be a sign that they are done testing for today. So we're keeping our eyes on that checkpoint. And once we see vehicles return to the pad, Mary will tell us if the road is still open, or if the road is still closed or not. So that is the current state of where we are at right now. Again, the test was aborted just before the planned static fire for a reason that we are not, we're not sure what the reason is. SpaceX does not provide official information, but presumably there was some sort of problem towards the business portion of the countdown. Steven asks, Starliner OFT now first quarter or another delay? According to NASA's planning manifest, it has been January 4th, 2021 for several weeks now, but NASA had officially still been saying December, so they made that delay official today with their public communications, and I don't think January 4th is going to be happening either. When they're saying first quarter, that gives them 3 months of potential wiggle room, and I have a feeling they're going to need some of it based on them not just saying January. So, yes, it does seem like OFT2 is sliding to the right a bit. Hopefully Boeing will be able to launch that soon, though. Square in the air, Mary is using a 600mm lens on a Nikon D7500, and the Nikon D7500 also has a crop factor, and it's able, because the resolution is so good, you're able to crop the video a bit and still have 1080p quality. So you're looking at a 1080p video at 60 frames per second, which is super good, high quality streaming from this camera. So really nice view from Mary.
Yeah, I'm not a Nikon guy, but holy cow, this camera proved to be extremely capable for this use.
The Nikon D7500, I think for the value, in my opinion, I've only ever shot Nikon, but I've talked to you. Well, you haven't actually specifically told me this, but from what I've gathered with talking to you about Canon, Trevor and other Canon shooters I know, it seems to me like the Nikon D7500 may be the best value DSLR on the market. If you buy one refurbished, you can get it in the high 500s, low 600 range a couple times a year typically. I think the refurbished value is usually in the high 600s. If you keep an eye on things, you can usually find a sale every now and then and get a good deal on one.
Yeah, that is an insane. That is really good. This stream not sponsored by Nikon.
Yeah. The dynamic range on it is probably its best attribute, in my opinion. And I guess the second best attribute, at least for us, is the fact that it can output clean HDMI while letting Mary see the LCD screen. There's a lot of cameras on the market that cannot do live streaming very well because they cannot output a clean HDMI feed and still show the settings on the LCD screen. So
Yeah, that's like one of
D7500
those
is
things
perfect.
that a lot of camera companies will cripple the camera by not allowing HDMI out. It's really annoying. So it's nice that this camera can do it. Oh crap! Nope, I completely forgot. Oh yeah, my favorite thing about the camera, at least, dynamic range is definitely way up there. I also really like low light capability. I mean, last night, remember, we turned up the ISO and turned up the exposure, and it looked great. You know, if I go to anything above ISO, like, I don't know, 1600 or 3200 on my cameras, just immediately looks like garbage. And my cameras aren't the best. I just have what I've been able to cobble together with, but still. Well, I think we were at like 32,000 yesterday or something insane like that. So definitely useful for the night testing as well.
Yeah. I've never bought a more expensive camera than a D7500. I think to get a better camera, you have to go into the several thousands.
Yeah, I mean, if I could buy a right now, I would be getting a Canon R5, which is $3,500 just for the body itself. So yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, I shouldn't say a better camera. I should say a significantly better camera. To get a nice leap up above the D7500, I think you're probably looking at a couple of $1,000s at least. I mean, you could go like for the D500, but the D500 has the same sensor as the D7500, so it's not that much of a step up.
Alien Activity saying, pretty sure some Sony A7 can go above 6400 ISO before grain. Yeah, Sony sensors and Sony cameras are awesome, but fortunately that's not what I shoot. I'm a Canon guy.
Don't they break easily though? I thought there was a Achilles heel of the Sonys, is that they break easily.
I can't say with any authority one way or the other. I do remember though that at least with the A7S Mark II, the second gen, because I think we're up to Mark IV now, maybe Mark III, I forget, but there were several generations there where the battery life was just absolutely abysmal, even to the point where Sony would include 2 batteries box. Can you ever recall having gotten 2 batteries for an electronic device in the box? That says it all. But I think those days for the Sony A series cameras are long gone. And every now and then I'm tempted by the crazy low light. But yeah, I'll just stick with Canon and my sad specs for now at least. All my lenses, so that's the main thing. That's where all the money really goes, the lenses.
Yeah, it seems like the Sony mirrorless are definitely probably the best cameras out there in terms of picture quality right now.
Yep.
But in terms of something, if you want to leave it at the pad near the rocket, I don't know if you want to put your Sony mirrorless camera in that position unless you have a lot of money to lose.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I just cobble together any like older Canons that I can use as remote cameras. Anytime I see like a good one on Craigslist or something, I snap it up when I can. Because as much as I would like to have the budget capability to put like $20,000 or $30,000 of cameras as remote cameras for every launch, I'll have to sell a lot of prints before I get to that point. All right, briefly stepping away again, Michael. Take it away.
Sounds good. Let's see if there's any questions. Square in the air has a strong statement. Canon is a swear word. I'll say that while Jack's not here because Jack shoots Canon. Lots of camera questions. Grass venting and engine condensation, says Cliff. I think that's just part of the normal process. I'm not seeing any real signs that they are spooling stuff up for another test. There'll be a lot of condensation coming from the tank farm if they were making another attempt. So, still waiting to see what happens. But I'm guessing the pad will reopen, and then if they are able to fix the issue, maybe in a couple hours they'll make another attempt. Gordon says think they're going over data now. I'm sure whatever issue they've had, the teams have been looking over the data and trying to figure out what the path forward is. Without any official information, though, it's hard to say if they can tell exactly what the issue is from their consoles or if they have to send teams out to the pad to investigate further, but I would be shocked if they were not going over data. That's what the teams on console do. Thank you, Igor, for the €5. Appreciate the super chat. Lone Wolf says, how do you know they canceled? The vehicle was filled with propellant, lots of venting activity, and then we saw them detank it. So they definitely aborted. We are now waiting to see we have not said it's canceled. To be clear, we have not said it's canceled. We just said they aborted the original test. So they could make a second attempt. Still a chance of a test today as long as that road stays closed, but we have not got any official word on Twitter from Elon or SpaceX as in terms of what the plan here is going to be going forward. So unless we get that type of info, we just have to wait and see. But again, still a chance for another attempt as far as we know. And now Lone Wolf is asking for a guess on when it flies. I'm going to go with, and to be clear, he does say it doesn't have to be accurate, so it's really hard to say at this point. I'm sure SpaceX is probably targeting something super ambitious like next week. Obviously, there's going to be delays just based on how testing goes. We saw that yesterday. We saw that potentially again today with a static fire Abort, but and it's hard to say because is Elon going to give them like 4 days off for Thanksgiving? I don't know. Perhaps they'll get incentives to work that weekend. I don't know what the plan is there. So it's really hard to say based on that Thanksgiving holiday coming up how much time they're going to have in terms of testing opportunities. But I think the third or fourth week in November are probably potential opportunities. If I had to place money, I would say I'm leaning towards the 4th, but again, I don't know how that Thanksgiving holiday could factor in. But I'm going to go with As a complete guess, I'm gonna guess November 24th. That is a complete guess. Not like a source told me that. That's a complete guess. And that is giving myself, like, expecting several days of slips with tests, so I would expect a couple more delays with a static fire not happening when it was supposed to and whatnot before that happens. Yes, KK. It's Tuesday before Thanksgiving is my guess. So, I think we'll try to get it done before the holiday, and then, if it goes well, give the teams a long, nice weekend off. That's my speculative guess. Tom, they are firing only one Raptor. They're taking it easy with the first ever static fire of a header tank or liquid oxygen header tank, but we're not sure which engine it is. It could be a new one, it could be one of the old ones. So, only one Raptor, but I cannot tell you which one. Is there any possibility of having SN8 and SN9 simultaneously on the two pads? Great question, and I think the answer is yes. We've seen Pad B, the second test stand, getting a lot of work recently. So if SN8 does not, takes a bit longer than planned to do the hop, they could very well roll out SN9 to the pad and have two Starships out there. And I don't know if it's going to happen with SN8 and SN9, but maybe with SN9 and SN10, because SN10 is already almost fully stacked, so very good chance we're going to see two Starships at the pad. I think it's just a matter of when, not if.
I'm pretty sure SN10 is fully stacked.
Oh yeah.
They've started on it. They've started on SN11.
Correct.
Which
yes.
is just freaking madness.
Remember when I talked about earlier, I was getting messed up with my numbers. Too many
No
Starships to keep track of.
The only reason, I've been as into Starship development as I am right now for, since around Starhopper time, maybe a little bit before Starhopper. But, yeah, definitely before Starhopper, actually, because there was a Starship event at SpaceX headquarters that I went to, the Dear Moon event.
I'm so jealous you got to go to that, by the way.
You say that, and it's like, it's classic grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Like, it was absolutely cool to go, and I'm super honored that I got to go for spaceflight and cover that event. At the same time, from the perspective of a reporter and photographer, oh buddy, they had all of the press on a tiny little set of risers, and try and shoot between other photographers' heads to get a photo. It was just, and the lighting inside Hawthorne, if you ever get to go there for a press event, it is not good. Not bright, not, the color temperatures are all over the place, all the different lights. So it's a challenge. It was an absolute challenge to shoot in there. If I go back and look at my photos of Elon and Yusaku Maezawa, they're not great. I haven't posted many of them because they're not great. Because it was a really challenging shoot. But absolutely, I wouldn't. That doesn't mean I wish I hadn't been. So glad I got to go to that. But all that is to say, oh my gosh, I lost my train. What were you talking about before I went on my crazy digression?
We were talking about SN numbers and me screwing up that SN10 had already been fully staffed.
Oh, right. Yeah, the only reason, as long as I've been following this, even years ago at that commercial crew or the Starship event, Dear Moon thing, I did not have as close or as good a handle on what is going on at the site until I started editing the daily video. Because when you edit the daily videos, it's like you're looking through Mary's eyes, right? You're sitting there seeing everything happen as it happens. So that's the only reason now I can be like, SN10 is done. It's because I edited the video where they finished. Otherwise, I remember I did a couple edits for some other YouTube channels at one point, and at that time I didn't know what was going on quite so well because I wasn't editing these daily videos. So yeah, it's a challenge. All that is to say, it is an absolute challenge, even as people who cover this stuff day in and day out, to keep track of the progress there in Boca Chica. It is that rapid. We're not kidding around.
Yep. And I did move SN9 to the high bay to make room for SN11 stocking. So they have SN10 and SN11 in the mid bay right now.
Yep.
And SN9 is in the high bay.
It's just crazy. It really is just crazy. And they've started to stack. I mean, I presume they've started to stack the first Super Heavy. We saw them move 2 LOX tank sections into the high bay with a crane. We haven't actually seen those 2 sections, mated with each other and stacked. But I bet you we will soon, whenever Mary gets a chance to get the proper angle there. But it's just nuts. That's 4 different vehicles in various stages of construction at the same time, plus SN being tested pad. So, yeah, I mean, they are pulling no punches at Boca Chica. And absolutely, we're going to have to start seeing both pads, A and B, occupied simultaneously if they're going to want to progress this campaign as fast as they have said that they want to. I mean, didn't they say at one point, or didn't Elon tweet, or maybe he said it during a presentation, that they want to be building 2 Starships a week? Or something like that, like something seriously crazy. Or maybe it was a Starship every 2 weeks. Either way, they have a long way to go before they get to that goal. And 2 pads, absolutely part of that. That was a long and winding road to get to the end of that answer, but we got there, guys. We got there.
Yeah.
Hallmark of a good question.
Doctor, thank you for the super chat. I hope I said that right. Love the NSF team work. Could you please add the local time if available to different statuses? I think they're asking for like a time for the time next to each status. Yeah, we can maybe add that in the future. That would be a good feature. So you can see how it played out and know when to go back, but...
Yeah, and friend of the channel yesterday messaged me while we were live, said that they thought it would be a good idea if we did like replays of like a previous static fire while we waited for something to happen. I think that's a really good idea too. We'll have to work on that. And by we, I mean I. We'll have to work on that for upcoming, because it would be really useful to kind of do a play-by-play and be like, look, this is what we're expecting next. This is what happened last time. That kind of...
We could even set it up so that you could, with the same presentation software we use for NSF Live, you could hook your computer into the live stream, and then you could like show whatever you want to show while I'm operating the rest of it. So we could like teamwork, or Doss and you, or I guess if Doss is here, it's easier for him because I do the overlays too. So when Doss is here, I'm doing the overlays, and Doss has more free hands to production. But when I'm doing the overlay and the production, you could help out with that. So we could make it work for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I need to kind of get trained up on what you and Doss can do, anyways, just so there's one more of us that can do it. Plus, I also have to get Doss to get me in on the telestration. So with all of those powers, I don't know if you want to give me that much power, but we could do some cool stuff for sure.
We could definitely have you doing telestration and putting up video clips from previous tests.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Like on
We'll
this
have
stream,
to.
we have the capability to do that. We just have to get it set up.
Yeah, we should definitely set that up. That's a really good idea, and I appreciated that suggestion from the person who shall remain nameless who suggested that to me. I have a feeling they would want to remain.
Thanks for the feedback, Elon. We appreciate it.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've actually met Elon once, thanks to Austin Bernard. Thank you so much, Austin, if you're listening, for bringing me along for that. I bet he would not. He's a very busy man, and he's a very, he's got a lot going on. You're meeting some random guy. I 100% think he'd be like, "Who are you? All right, cool, bye."
Meanwhile,
yeah, right.
it's happened again. Blake Parsons.
Wow,
you know, when
Blake.
a super chat comes in with an A in front of it, you know, I don't even have to read the name because I know it's from Blake. Thank you so much, Blake.
Thank you so much, Blake. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Damn it.
That was so satisfying. I'm sorry. But thank you, Blake, and thank you, Brett.
Also, $5. How did you find an intro song for your videos and live streams? Well, if only the person who made the intro video was on the stream right now. Jack, how did that happen?
So I don't just edit for spaceflight. I also edit for various corporate entities and basically whoever will hire me. So I have a couple tricks up my sleeve from those types of jobs, including working at Disney. Dear Lord, don't work at Disney. But yeah, and one of those other things, just would use a website called Premium Beat. It's a stock music website with some really good music. There's a couple different, stock music type websites. I think there's I'm drawing a, but that's just the one I happen to use. So whenever I need a good track, I'll go on one of those sort of websites and search around for a track that I find appropriate. So yeah, I just looked around on the web and found that one, and I trialed it with everybody on the. And I forget who it was. Somebody said that slap. So that's what we went with. And if you're curious what that song is, it is called. Hang on, let me find it. I'll link it in the chat. People seem to really like the intro song. Is heartening. Is heartening a word? It's heartening. I don't care if it's a word. It is. I appreciate people liking the intro.
Martin asks, will there be an emergency escape system fitted to Starship? I don't think so. I think the plan for Starship is that Starship will work. I think we're going to do a lot more test flights with Starship than are normally done for a crewed launch system to make sure it's as safe as possible, but having said that, if I had one thing to criticize Starship for, it would probably be the lack of a emergency escape system, at least as the current design.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand the argument that it needs to not need an emergency, like a plane doesn't have an emergency escape system, but more sort of to the point of like what we were talking about yesterday with the twin engine extended operations for airliners. Even though airliners don't have an escape capsule or anything, airliners can glide, and airliners are certified for a certain length of time with engine out operation, and airliners can divert to other airfields. So I don't think that analogy, airliners don't have an escape system. Yeah, but it's not an appropriate analogy 100%. It's good. It's I understand the thinking behind it. Starship needs to be robust enough and reliable enough and consistent enough that you don't need a launch escape system. But man, that's a long road to get there, right?
Yeah, and I guess one thing I will say is that the journey to Mars or to the moon, the actual traveling there is going to be a lot more dangerous than the launch. So, even with Crew Dragon, the re-entry is the most dangerous part of the flight, not the launch. And the re-entry, of course, does not have an escape system. Your parachutes don't work, you're in trouble. So, I think out of the most dangerous phases of Starship flight, the journey back and forth to the moon or Mars would be the most dangerous. Well, I guess re-entry would be the most dangerous again, because if re-entry goes wrong, you don't have time to react. But after re-entry, the journey to and from wherever you're going will be the second most dangerous, because it's going to be a long way from Earth, and if something goes wrong, what are you going to do? So I think the launch is actually lower on the list of dangers for Starship, although obviously still very dangerous, but not the most dangerous phase of flight.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I guess on the flip side, you could say, well, percentage-wise, the odds of a failure per minute or per second are a lot higher during the launch than they are on the coast phase to Mars. So, but in general, the coast phase is, if you sum up the net danger levels, that would be more dangerous. But at every given second, the odds of something bad happening on the coast phase to Mars are not as high as launch. So, depends on how you look at it.
I do wonder if Starship will not have a launch abort system, but might someday have an escape pod.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right? Like in all science fiction ever, the big spacefaring vehicle has tiny little escape pods, right? That's just a thing from science fiction because it makes common sense. And I don't know what that would look like for Starship, or if it would even be possible. Maybe it's just like it would take the form of a Dragon capsule docked to the side of the vehicle during transit, and if you ever needed to bail due to some catastrophe, everyone piles in the Dragon capsule. Something I don't know, but yeah, some sort of escape pod would be nice peace of mind. But hopefully, they accomplish their goal as we currently understand it to be, and Starship itself does not need any sort of escape system because it is, in fact, so reliable. That's a good question. Oh, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut, did an awesome video on Starship launch escape systems and why it won't have one and all of that. So definitely, when you get a chance, go over to Tim Dodd's channel and check out that video, because of all of his Starship videos, that's a particularly good one. Although, really, they're all great.
Joe asks, what would the indication be that they're making another attempt tonight? If the road stays closed, and we see the methane recondenser spool up again, that would be a good sign of another test. The recondenser is typically what we see. That's the first sign of action when they're about to test. That's the venting you see from right behind us. 3 black vertical water tanks just to the bottom left of SN8. There's a methane recondenser there that recondenses the methane back into liquid methane, and that spools up first. So if we see some condensation, some white vapors coming from behind those tanks, that's a good sign there's going to be another test.
Yeah, I imagine that they're just sitting in the gateway right now, looking over data, trying to figure out if they need to send people back to the pad or if they can go again. And that's just me imagining, but yeah, definitely can, someone having to make the call. Are we going to send people back to the pad or are we going to go again? Well, 5 more minutes, right?
Yep.
It is nice, though, that we are, we're kind of back in the realm of daylight testing. There were so many of those tests for a while now that were at night. It's nice to be able to see the full vehicle and see everything that's going on in the pad, thanks to that massive ball of fusion in the sky. Fission? Fusion? No, fusion. Fusion. Right? Fusion.
Yeah.
Chininator with a kind of an out there question, but I like it. I'd like it. When do you think we'll be able to build Star Destroyers? I mean, I'm going to not take your question quite so literally, but I will say that Starship becoming a mature system and helping us to launch huge amounts of payload into low Earth orbit, not even to the moon, not even to Mars, just large, extremely large, heavy, massive payloads into low Earth orbit will enable, hopefully, industry to move significantly into low Earth orbit. And we can do things like assemble a spacecraft in space that we would never be able to either launch from Earth or, build on Earth and launch because there's no rocket big enough or stuff like that. So I sure hope that Starship itself enables even bigger vehicles constructed on orbit over time. And obviously that'll be years and years and years. Why not? I'll say 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, who knows? But one thing, when I think about the future, I like to think about the past and figure out where were we versus where are we now? And then kind of use that to extrapolate where will we be in a similar amount of time. So if you think about 5 years ago, SpaceX was just starting to land Falcon 9 successfully, I think in December of, 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So we're coming up on 5 years of Falcon 9 landings and Falcon 9 reusabilities. And now it's almost boring and it seems weird if they don't land. So that was 5 years ago versus now. So 5 years from now, hopefully we're at a similar point for Starship, in that 5 years from now, Starship is landing and it's fine and it's doing missions and it's landing and it's sort of maybe even starting to get boring. But that's obviously highly optimistic, given that obviously Falcon 9 was flying for many years before they even started to do the landings. But yeah, SpaceX and Gwen, I believe it was a Gwen comment, it might have been an Elon, but they said something along the lines of, if they're not flying humans on Starship faster than they were able to fly humans on Dragon, which I think was about 6 years, then the quote was a major company fail. Yeah, I think it was a Gwen Shotwell thing from like that AV Week podcast that she did with Irene Klotz. Super good podcast episode. Oh, look at that, it's venting.
So there's that depress.
So poop, but we don't know. It could just be part of a recycle, but yeah, that does look like a depress. We'll know if they open up the road birds what step. But yeah, to finish up my long rambling answer to you, Chininator, hopefully Starship will enable building super cool, awesome, massive vehicles like that into the future, and hopefully 5 years from now, whether or not we're building something you could call a Star Destroyer, hopefully 5 years from now, we look back at the year 2020 with a similar sort of lens. We can now look back on 2015 and say, wow, look how far Falcon 9 is. That's looking depressed.
For sure. So we didn't see venting from the liquid oxygen tank earlier, but clearly they had it pressurized, obviously, like they normally do when they have methane above it, but both tanks now being fully depressed.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't notice this earlier, but no more frost at Locke's header tank at the very top. That's long gone. I'll do a little A/B test. See. Oh, it's been gone for hours. Okay, never mind. Been gone for a long. It's like it disappeared around 4:20.
Of course it did.
Brendan Gleason says, okay, hear me out. 3-core Starship Heavy. That would be a heavy metal rocket. It's unfortunate that we don't think they have any plans to do something that insane. But that would sure be something. I think if our current understanding based on Elon tweets and whatnot is correct, they'll just go larger diameter with a single stick versus having 3 cores. Because with 3 cores, it might seem like it's one vehicle, but in reality, it's sort of 3 different vehicles kind of all flying in close formation with each other, and it's extremely complex. So just a larger, I think, what was it, an 18 meter diameter Starship Elon joked or tweeted about at some point. So that might be something in the future. That would be Starship heavy, right?
Yeah. It's already 5:23. Remember, the window closes at 9. So unclear if they're going to have enough time to recycle, but it would take them, presumably if they're about to return to the pad, it will take them at least an hour or 2 to work on the issue. And then, I mean, there's still barely probably enough time to make an attempt, but it's going to be close. And that's, of course, in a best case scenario, if they're able to fix it quickly. If they're not able to fix it quickly, they will likely run out of time.
Makes sense. Here's a good one. Chris Appleby asking, when was the last failed booster? Is that the CRS mission that spiraled into the ocean?
No,
that's the last one I remember.
The drone ship one where the weather data was not sent correctly. It was B-1056. I'm checking to make sure I got that right. Yes, B-1056 on February 17th. Or was there another one? I think there might have been 2. Someone in chat can help me, but I think it was definitely a Starlink mission. Okay, yes, it was March 18th. B-1048. That's right. Yes, that was the engine out issue. So that was where the engines had an anomaly. And they're now at, according to my statistics, they're now at 14 consecutive Falcon recoveries in a row. So
it's so crazy that it's just kind of taken for granted that that happened fast, right?
Yeah. And it's amazing that they failed a recovery in March. They've already done 14 consecutive more in a row since then, successfully. So their flight cadence is pretty insane.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say like, "Oh, Falcon 9, no business case for reusability," and it's like, well, it's not even just about reusing the rocket. It's enabling them to have a way larger cadence than if they had to use new rockets every time and build each one. Am I saying Shotwell's name wrong? How would you pronounce her name?
Gwyn Shotwell.
Gwyn?
Yes, Gwyn.
And so when I say Gwen, that's incorrect.
Gwen might be correct. I don't know if it's Gwen or Gwen. I think it's probably Gwen, actually. I don't know. I never thought about that until you said that. Somebody in chat.
Our member Discord is giving me crud for it. Gwen? People are saying Gwyn. So I'm just gonna start trying to remember to say Gwyn in hope that that's correct. A lot of people, people agreeing Gwyn. All right, I'm gonna go with Gwyn. Sorry, okay. Last thing I want to do is get her wrong. She's an absolute force with SpaceX. We would have no SpaceX without. And as much crud as I give Das for saying Bayer, my last name instead of Bayer, I should get these things.
I need so many windows now to have the members Discord up and a YouTube chat and the panel.
More screens!
Windshot, okay. Billy Charleston, the nearby ocean water is a flame diverter, pretty much super heavy it seems like. Elon said you're not going to build a flame diverter, so the flames and the exhaust are going to fly everywhere, including towards the beach and the ocean. another big sustained event just now. KK, the Falcon 9, when it lands, they tell it the predicted weather data so that it predicts, or it has a good understanding of what the winds are going to be like as it's landing, but it does use GPS and radar to land.
Condenser's
Wow.
active.
Let's see if that was a brief puff or if it's going to
Oh
be...
no. I might have just cried wolf. I might have just
It
cried
definitely
condenser
happened,
wolf.
though. It's happening again. Look at that.
Okay, good. Hopefully they're starting back up again.
Okay, we'll go to recycle question mark because we're not exactly sure, but promising sign. Again, this is why we told you that there was still a chance because we did not know for sure, and it looks like there is a potentially a recycle into work.
Looks like it wasn't just an isolated puff
Yeah,
or anything either.
I'm gonna move us to recondenser,
Excellent.
and I'm
That's
gonna
what I
work
like to
on
see.
setting our timeline back so that we have our normal statuses. There we go. Timeline is updated. And we have a static fire back on the timeline.
It's definitely what we want to see versus cars stacking up at the roadblock. Condenser activity, good. Cars stacking up at the roadblock, bad. And to be clear, we are not seeing the latter. We're seeing the former.
Skies are launching sometime in the next couple of weeks. We're not sure exactly when the launch is scheduled for, but today's test is just the firing of a single engine without lifting off. So you'll see a lot of flames and whatnot for a couple of seconds, but no launch today. Just the test firing of the Raptor engine at the launch pad. That's what we're waiting for. And based on... We're trying to figure out in our members Discord what the approximate T0 is based on when the methane recondenser turned on, but probably just after 6 p.m. if we had to guess.
Cool. So around 5:50 or so, we'll start listening to that siren. Maybe 5:55 somewhere.
Yeah.
I love having this time. I know I say it a lot, but I cannot thank our members enough for putting that timeline together because I've thought it. I've thought it so many times while we're doing these streams. Like, man, it'd be really good to collate these data points, and now that we are, it's just excellent because the insight it gives us into what we're seeing, positively stupendous. Grass vent is going like crazy. Look at that. I wonder if the grass vent is for nitrogen. I always kind of expected,
Maybe.
you know, that would be like some other kind of nitrogen dump. I don't know why they would need to dump nitrogen like that, but in my head,
going crazy too. Wow.
All right, excellent.
That's exactly what we saw earlier today, and the tank farm activity started. This is definitely a recycle. I think we can safely say that this test has been recycled.
Yep. That's a kind of a good question. Kyle asked, why do they detank perfectly good methalox? Does it really warm that quickly? I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily about it getting warm, although, I guess it might be if they needed like put it back in the farm and recondition the propellant to be exactly the right temperatures that they want it to be. Because it's definitely not the case that you can feed a Raptor any old methane, any old liquid oxygen. I imagine it needs to be precisely the correct temperature to be within what Raptor is expecting to get. So yeah, maybe if it's just sitting in the tanks, it gets to a point where it's no longer the correct temperature and they have to recycle. That makes sense. Yeah, good question, Kyle. I don't know. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah.
Like, why recycle and not hold?
I mean, the liquid oxygen also warms up. I think the liquid oxygen might be more challenging, but I'm not positive about that. I just know during previous tests they've had some issues with liquid oxygen getting too warm, so it's definitely a challenge to store it and keep it at the right temperature. I'm not sure exactly why it is, but for whatever reason they're not able to recycle quickly, it seems like. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer, but I'm not entirely sure. So we should see that venting from the bottom of Starship SN8 starting up here in not too long, and the heat distortion has pretty much entirely gone away now, so that's super nice. That'll help us get a good view of the base of Starship, and we can see when propellant loading starts. Earlier this afternoon was a lot more heat distortion, so it was kind of hard to see what was happening in terms of that light vapor at the bottom of the vehicle, but much better viewing conditions right now.
Yeah, there's really like there's no heat distortion at all. That's really nice.
And Rocket Nerd in our Discord is telling me 544 to 546 an approximate window on when that propellant loading signs should start from that vapor coming out of the aft skirt. Of course, there might already be propellant loading underway, we just can't tell, but first hard evidence we see is when we see those vapors coming out the bottom skirt.
Yep. Unconsoled asking, or unconsoled asking, how many astronauts will Starship be able to hold? We were talking about this a little bit yesterday. You know, we always frequently get a question asking if Starship can still hold 100 people, or how we think possibly hold 100 people, stuff like that. Yeah, I don't. And also one of the things we were talking about is how the 100 people estimate was a previous design that was what, 12-meter diameter, Michael?
12
Something
meter
like
from
that.
what?
For Mars transporter carbon fiber.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
Either way, 100 people not on this vehicle.
Yeah.
Probably more like 20.
Oh, for the Mars Colonial Transporter. Yeah. I thought
Yeah, I
that
don't know,
was just taller.
I forget if it was taller or wider, but here we go. There's a NASA Spaceflight forum member. Let me try and find it on YouTube right now. Let's see, Starship interior. Mike LePage is a forum member, and he's basically gone through the NSF forums, done some work on his own, but he has done some sort of, I mean, there's a fair amount of speculation in there, but a lot of it's informed speculation or just plausible speculation. But if you're wondering more about Starship and crew complement and all that, I just threw a link in the chat. They're really, honest, fantastic videos that Mike has put together. I mean, he's done several now, so highly recommend you check those out. He goes into far greater detail, like different plausible outcomes for the interior and crew complement of Starship. But really, until we get another one of those updates from Elon, we're just going to have to kind of sit and wait and see.
So I think Mars Colonial Transporter was just greater than 10 meters, but the ITS, the Interplanetary Transport System, worst name ever, but it was changed, had a 12-meter diameter. So there were bigger starships beforehand, and those were the ones that had the 100 people target, I think. I mean, and the way volume works, the larger your current radius is for your nose cone section or the vehicle, you get more and more gain for every additional meter, just because it's not a linear increase in volume. So
it increases by the square.
Yeah, so it would have been a lot more volume for a 12-meter as opposed to a 9-meter.
Makes sense. But yeah, good question. Unconsoled there, Mr. Turtle. No, stop asking. It has not done static fire yet.
We'll look for that. Once we get to the tri-venting status, we'll put a timer up with our approximate time, but we're currently roughly estimating a couple of minutes past the top of the hour based on previous testing campaigns, so not long away now from that static fire if all goes well.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a productive day, and they've certainly gotten a lot of data already. Hopefully, they can get the data that they're looking for. Successful static fire test here shortly. If you're wondering, if you haven't watched a lot of these and you're wondering what's the tri-vent, it's three vents in trilateral symmetry, kind of in the middle of the aft section. Sort of if you look at where those flaps are folded towards us on the bottom, in sort of the middle of the flap zone there, kind of right on the spine, directly looking at us, and then there's one off to the left behind the left flap, one off to the right behind the right flap, and we think it's speculative, but we think that those are liquid oxygen vents that are part of Raptor chill down. So that's kind of one of the data points that we've been able to extrapolate to our timeline here. So that's one of the things we are looking for next, is for those three vents to start up, potentially the one facing us and the left first, and then the one on the right shortly thereafter. It's the behavior that we've seen previously today and yesterday, but with only two data points there, it's a little bit hard to say how exactly that could go or will go. But just trying to help everybody out understand what we've seen so far previously, and what to expect next here.
Let's see what the weather is. It's very light wind, it appears. You can see all that condensation is hanging out. I guess 8.9 knots is not that light, but a lot lighter than it was earlier. And that's also the gusts that we're displaying, so actual wind might be lower most of the time. Okay, so we should be seeing vapors from the bottom of Starship right now. It's hard to see because of that condensation, but I will move us up to propellant loading. As they've been pretty consistent lately with their testing sequences. And we should be seeing that bi-venting happening any minute now. The bi-venting being the two separate vents we see from that liquid oxygen vent areas on the skirt. It then becomes three further into the testing sequence for whatever reason, but it starts off with only two vents. We can now see clearly those vapors coming out of the bottom as well. So all is looking good for static fire a couple minutes past the top of the hour.
Jane Doe asking, shouldn't the recycling be faster considering Starship's intended use? I always thought the idea is to land, refuel, and launch optimally. Yeah, and no doubt that's something that they'll be working on as they conduct all of these tests. Surely they will build out a flow where they can recycle faster. Maybe, I don't know that they can recycle it to any point in the flow. I think a lot of times they have to go back to zero and start over. Maybe that'll be something they work on. Maybe they don't have to go back to zero, some kind of go back to halfway or what have you. I don't know. But, this is a test program. It's important to remember as we watch these, we have such unprecedented insight and view into these test programs because it all takes place next to a public road and there's so many people that document it. But it is a test program, not like we're watching Falcon 9 launch right now where things have to be operation nailed down and specific. SpaceX is learning, and this is a giant classroom where they are learning how to operate this rocket. And, definitely, I fully expect recycles to get faster over time. But surely there's going to be a limit. Maybe they're already at it to how fast they can do it, physics-wise or pumps-wise or what have you. We're certainly going to see significant improvements to the tank farm, just logically. No one's told me this, but...
By vent.
Oh, by vent. Look at that.
We can see the center area and on the left-hand side is venting coming now from Starship, just like we saw last time.
Awesome. So yeah, even just for super heavy, they presumably will need to do some significant additions and modifications to their tank farm setup. So maybe when they start doing that, they'll put in more pumps or they'll figure out ways to do things faster and what have you. So good question, Jane. Ooh, Unconsoled, new member. Where did you come in at, Unconsoled? Capcom, awesome. When you get your Discord sunk up and whatnot, pop into Discord and figure out how to post some of our cursed rocket emojis. There's some good ones. I'm gonna do a Starship with a Tori Bruno head right now. Tori, type in Bruno, type in Starship, bam. Everyone in Discord now has to suffer and look, haha. No, seriously, thank you so much for the support, Unconsoled. Pop into Discord when you get a chance. Paul from Norway, thank you for the support. They say, I'm now watching Everyday Astronaut and Spaceflight in stereo. Oh, cool. Is Tim streaming? They say, P.S. Please talk about SpaceX, Tesla, stainless steel future partnership theories. Like Cybertrucks made out of stainless steel from Starships. I really hope that is actually a thing and ends up being a thing. I'll never, ever, ever in a million years be able to afford such a thing, but I sure would like it to exist, because sometimes, an Elon tweet does not reality make. But he has tweeted that it could be a thing. So hopefully that ends up being a thing. I'd be very happy.
You can actually see, if you look really closely at the top of the nose cone, there is some venting already.
Oh, look at that. You're right. Good eye.
It's not like the main event we've been seeing when we push to a test, but definitely some venting already happening.
I believe that's indicative of filling. It looks like filling. I don't know that it is, but it looks like.
Yeah, small vent to the very top. But that tri-vent should be starting up in the next couple of minutes. I would say within the next 2 or 3 minutes, you should see that tri-venting fully start up. And there is a super chat from Australia. Guess who it is, Jack?
Is it Blake Parsons?
Of course it is. Thank you so much, Blake. We really appreciate your support. I know we say that a lot, but we really mean it. And then, well, Dicky Fix is sending a super chat to advertise my app for me. I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. Thank you so much for the support, and I'm glad that you enjoy my app.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for, I'll do it if you're not going to. If you guys are looking for an awesome,
I'm not going to plug myself.
If you're looking for an awesome app to keep track of launches of every type, whether it's ULA or SpaceX or Starship, check out Next. Awesome app, and Michael develops it. So if you ever encounter a bug, you can come on stream and yell at it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Mike. But seriously, Next Spaceflight rules. Check it out.
Thanks, Jack.
Of course.
Nerdly Night, I guess Nerdly Night. There's no cats on Mars. Curiosity kills them all. Jack, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna take revenge on Curiosity. I'll go Office Space. Have you seen Office Space?
No, I was focused on the bingo card. I was going back to the bingo card to read the exact words about the cat one, but that is not a bingo. It was close, but that is not a bingo. It has to be Jack's cat. That was not Jack's cat.
Yeah, my cat has to do literally anything. That's actually my final bingo square is Jack's cat does anything. But all she's doing right now is sleeping. So unless sleeping counts as a thing, I'm not gonna win. So, but I love this bingo card, man. It's just goofy in the best way. Let's see. Oh yeah, but Nerdly Night, for the $5, I will totally take Curiosity if it tries to get anywhere near my feline. Wesley Johnson.
Try that.
Hey, look at that. Wesley Johnson, thanks for the $5. I don't know how much volume would be allotted to food stores and all of that stuff. That's a job for people with much higher pay scales. But it's a good question, and if you didn't catch that link I put in the chat earlier about that Mike LePage with the speculative Starship interior YouTube video, that you might want to check that out. That's probably a good place to start to answer your question. Oh, and Cone, thank you for the new membership. Where did you come in at, buddy? Padrat, welcome. Throw some members emoji in chat now that you have access to them. And Jeff Smith, thank you for the $20. Holy cow, $20. That is a lot of money. Thank you so much, buddy. Say hello again, guys. Hello, Jeff.
And I've got our timer up now. We think we're about around 10 minutes, so we'll see if that siren happens imminently, but not far away now from that static fire attempt if all goes well.
And our members Discord confirming that my cat sleeping, it does not count as anything. So I do not yet have bingo. Look at that. It's really streaming out of that back right. And it's not really doing so out of the other two. I wonder if that's related to it being engine static.
Maybe. Wow, that's a lot. It's just shooting out.
Yeah, it's like a waterfall, a Lox fall.
Ah, there we go. Siren.
Excellent.
Which always seems to be later into the... It always seems to be later than 10 minutes. So maybe we'll just call it the siren, not the 10-minute siren, but... Again, based on our previous data, we think we're about 8 minutes away right now.
Yeah, you got to figure that it takes a certain amount of time for SpaceX to communicate to the sheriff deputy that the sheriff deputy needs to do the siren, and then there's a certain amount of time that the sheriff deputy then needs to, like, get in the car, put on your seatbelt, drive around. So yeah, there's a little bit of lag. It's not always exactly. But we're close. We're under 10 minutes now at this point. And like you said, by our estimate, we're around 8 minutes to go. Gordon Murphy asking if this is a static fire on the replaced. We don't know. I don't think it's necessarily related to that though, but it could be. I'm just enjoying the sound of the siren. All right. Siren complete.
I am adjusting our time slightly just based on what I'm getting told in our members' Discord, but
Copy that.
it might have been a little bit too aggressive.
Cyber Merlin, thank you so much for the $20 and for the compliment. Great work, guys. Seriously, $20. Holy cow. That's a huge amount of support, and we super extra appreciate it. And Man of Winter, $24.99. Thank you so much. Seriously, honestly, I'm trying to figure out a way to express my thanks, but I'm all adrenalined up right now with Starship. But know that you are helping bring this to everybody around the world. How many people are watching? 9,000 people watching is what you're helping to contribute to there, Manter. So thank you. Cole Logan, $2. Say, let's light this flappy silo. I agree. Arlene? I'm probably butchering that. I apologize. Arlen? Bertrand, thank you for the €10. Say, cheers from France. Thank you for all of your work. Yeah, I'm definitely butchering that if it's a French. Thank you so much. Mad Dog 711, thank you for the $19.99. Wow, y'all are really coming. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for this. It's awesome. And Mike, I think you already figured the pronunciation out on this, Michael. This one's Mike, if I remember correctly. Mike, thank you for the €5. Say theory, ambient might be low steel.
We
ambient
turned it up
might be.
just now.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, well, I will turn it up even more too as we get closer to the static fire.
Cool.
Yeah,
we're getting close. Somewhere around 6 minutes.
I see Chris B's message in our control center chat. This is very good lighting, and I agree. If this happens on time, this is going to be insane.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful, beautiful lighting on the vehicle right now from sunset. Very little wind right now also. See, the clouds are just kind of sticking around. Wow. This is so surreal. I wonder if when we get starships stacked on top of Super Heavy, it'll be tall enough that like the whole rest of the vehicle is dark, but just the tip is still light because the sun is still hitting it or something like that.
And I just adjusted the timer again. I apologize. I had a typo when I put it in last time. Thank you for Alex Physics for saying 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, we're good.
No worries.
But somebody asked, there's a rumor about it being aborted. The first test, they already did an attempt today, and that was aborted. And now they're making a second attempt. So, yes, there was an abort earlier today, but they're having another go at this test. So hopefully this time we'll have better luck. Okay, I'm going to crank this ambient even more. Move to ticker. Update status of static fire imminent because I don't think it's far away. And let's listen in and see what happens here. And again, that countdown clock is approximate. I will remove it as it gets down under 2 minutes because it is approximate. I don't want anybody to think it's exactly 2 minutes away. That's an approximation. So we will go back to the local time at this point, but we believe we're now about 2 minutes away from a static fire attempt with Starship SN8. This is the first ever static fire attempt to use a liquid oxygen header tank in the tip of the nose cone, and we believe it's going to use a single Raptor engine. So that is what we are about to witness, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Here we go.
You can see that frost on that nose cone pretty clearly. That's the header tank at the very top that will be providing the liquid oxygen for this engine firing. Any minute now. And again, the timeline between each test can vary a bit. There could be built-in holds, there could be unplanned holds, so it could be in the next couple of seconds, it could be the next couple of minutes, but until we see those, unless we see those two big vents in the middle section of Starship, all indications are that they're still going to attempt a static fire. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll see a static fire within the next couple of minutes. That was spectacular. I'm not sure if that was good or not. Was
Yeah,
that just debris flying, or what flew? Something clearly went flying.
Yes, there looked to be a lot of material flying up and away to the right. But either way, that was a static fire, successful or not.
I'm trying to see.
Yeah, go back and
We
look.
definitely saw some flames after the fact. We see that sometimes normally. Trying to see right now if there's also smoke, if that's just all the condensation from the tank farm and the vehicle, but
We definitely would have seen similar behavior if it had happened previously at night, but I'm not sure that we would have seen it if it had happened during the day. But definitely curious what exactly we saw there.
yeah, I'm not able to say. You can see the drone up there above the Starship, but I'm not sure if that was nominal or not. I didn't hear audibly. I'll have to go back and watch it again. But audibly, I didn't hear like an obvious problem, but visually I've not seen those sparks fly out like they did that time before.
Yeah, and it could just be like chunks of concrete getting ablated and blown away. I mean, it could be totally fine. Or, you know, who knows what it could have been. But it definitely looked intense. And there was a little bit of a crunch sound at engine shut off, but we don't know that that's anything other than normal.
Our Discord is saying they heard some weird noises. We're now listening to depressed vents, but my first reaction was, I didn't hear anything, but that was just like, I was watching so many things I might have missed it, so I'm not sure that was a good static fire or not. We'll have to see if Elon or SpaceX says something, but purely detanking now, we see the depressing, so I'll update our status. Luckily, it seems Starship SN8 itself is in one piece and safe. They can always replace an engine, but placing an entire vehicle is a harder challenge. But again, it's still unclear if that was a good static fire or not. It's possible that was just some debris on the ground that went flying. It's also possible those were engine parts. Impossible to say.
Yeah, hopefully not engine parts, concrete or something, some kind of debris that was left around. That looked spectacular. One way or another, that looked amazing. And that's an historic first. Whether or not it's a successful static fire, that is the first successful, oh my god, I just blew it. Whether or not it was a successful static fire, that is the first Raptor static fire from a LOX header tank on a Starship. Are we able to like put this in picture and do a replay?
Not right now.
No worries. The vehicle's still standing. That's the important part. It's still there. We didn't get anything like an SN4 anomaly, if there even was an anomaly in the first place. Again, it could have just been debris getting blown off the concrete, or concrete itself ablating. Scott Manley tweeted that the sparks all radiate from a specific point in time if you trace them back.
I mean, it could have been concrete or something, but it also.
I mean, my gut is that it's right, because they've just been firing engines against this concrete for so long now. But we did hear that crunch honk sound from the engine, which we don't know even if that means anything. It could just be the sound Raptor makes when it shuts down, or it could be indicative of something bad happening with the engine. I don't know. That was quite a sight.
It looked cool, I can say that much.
It looked so cool.
And Chris B has a tweet up with a replay, so I'll put that in chat if you're interested in seeing a replay. I spam chat with Chris B's tweet link, so click that link if you want to watch it again. You can also just rewind. It was at 6 or 7 p.m. Central Time. So if you rewind your YouTube stream, you should be able to find it. I mean, there was a lot of it flying, so I don't think it would be engine parts that would fly up like that, but I'm no expert. I think it might have just been concrete.
That's my gut, honestly, is that
Yeah.
it's just concrete getting ablated and firing against it. And the only reason we haven't seen that yet is because it happened after repeated Raptor firing, same roasted concrete.
Didn't really sound like it was that loud though.
I mean, it was just one engine.
Yeah, that's true. It was just one engine, but just I don't know. I'm
Like
I'm
maybe
gonna
they
go
didn't,
back,
like maybe they didn't get up to full power kind of thing.
or maybe it aborted fairly quickly. But it's they're so short already. It's really hard to tell if it was full duration or not.
That was so cool. I really hope that wasn't a rat eating itself. It didn't. I mean, I don't think it would look like that, though. I don't know what that would look like, but I really feel like that was concrete just based on my gut. But that's just a gut instinct. Man, I'm dying to know what those sparks were. Somebody tweeted Elon.
Mary is working behind the scenes to bring up that exposure. Like we were talking about earlier, this is a great camera, so we can push it to the limits. And that looks a lot better. Good job, Mary. Yeah, I'm watching that static fire video over and over again, and I'm really thinking it was concrete. There's just no way engine debris would radiate that evenly.
Yep, I am inclined to agree. I'm gonna go back and look myself. I haven't yet.
You know what they need, Jack?
What?
A flame diverter. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes, it would stand to reason that a flame diverter would be a good thing, and probably avert whatever we just saw. But you know, maybe whatever we just saw, if it was just concrete, maybe they'll go in, throw some new concrete down there, and call it a day. I don't know. I'm not. I am not a contractor. I don't know how all of this works, but certainly, I don't think you would want to roast your pad every time. You have to rebuild it every. Okay, here's the question. Do you think the debris we're seeing fly off, is it emitting its own light or is it reflecting?
I think it's a good question. Is it concrete on fire or is it concrete? I'm guessing it's probably concrete on fire, but I don't know for sure.
I'm just watching it over and over and over again.
It looks so cool. I'm not complaining because it looks so cool.
It really does look so cool. I can't say if they're emitting light or if they're. I don't. Because if they're reflecting light, then they should go dark as the engine is dark. But perplexing and interesting. Also, I'm glad I didn't drive to Boca Chica yet for the 15-kilometer hop. This is why we say we don't know when dates will happen, and everything has to go exactly right. I mean, we clearly saw something new. Wow, there's a piece that goes like straight up and over the left of the nose cone. Like, not everything went in a uniform direction. Oh man, that looked so cool. I mean, it could be with the. Well, I don't know. I just don't know. There's like multiple pieces that shoot up vertically. I mean, do you think it could be like pieces of stainless steel getting blown off a part of the skirt or something and reflecting light, or is it items burning, emitting light of their? I really can't.
Yeah.
To those people who are saying they fade out with the engine, I mean, I'm trying to see that as I watch it. I feel like the angles that some of these pieces fly off and are lit at aren't, like, would they still reflect? Like, the ones that go straight up are still bright. I just think they're short-lived. I mean, most of them are out and the engine is still on.
Wow, thank you so much, Mark. Well, we're way behind on super chats. I just looked to the list, so we'll get through them because of the static fire. Obviously, we were focusing on that. But Mark, first of all, $50, very generous of you, Mark. He says, outstanding reporting, everyone. Your informed and measured commentary is always refreshing and insightful. The passion in documenting this historic phase of spaceflight makes me want to help out. Any jobs open for Starship astrophotographer? Would Starship astrophotographer be photographing Starship when it's in orbit, or would that be like somebody in Starship photographing the stars from Starship? What do you think, Jack?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Either way, that sounds cool.
Thank you so much, Mark, for the support.
Yeah.
I mean, what did we just see?
Sure was. Is that how you say it? Seen that name before. $25. They have a antenna emoji, a bacon emoji, or is that chicken? I cannot tell. Is that skewers? And then a thumbs up. I think it's bacon.
So
on the YouTube source feed, it's definitely bacon. It's on our panel, the emojis. But
you just gave somebody bingo by saying bacon, I think.
Is that why they did that?
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take $25 for bingo.
Fair. Scott Manley did a posit of frame from our feed and is saying that the origin point was not at ground level. And I have some other people messaging me saying if it was concrete, it would be more horizontal, and it would have needed to have a significant downward vertical velocity to bounce vertically like that. I don't know if any of these are. I'm reading things as they're coming in right now. I mean, and depress. Hopefully that wasn't hardware.
Yeah.
We'll find out pretty quick if it was. We'll see them take that Raptor off, or morning we'll see, pieces of gnarly side of Starship. Who knows? Hopefully SN8 is okay. Hopefully all three Raptors are okay. But at this point we don't know. Certainly saw something new, and interesting is not always good when tested.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Can you hear me?
I see you have a replay queued up. Is that correct? I will show that.
I do, in fact, have a replay queued up on the present layer, Michael, if you want that. Nice. That's what I was setting up over here. So I was going to do frame at a time here, and there was something very interesting that I wanted to look at. By the way, hey, what's up, y'all? It's Das. I've been here watching.
Hey, dude.
Let's watch the replay here.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. So you got all the sparks, right? Pretty clearly. Let's just mute it. And if we replay that over and over again, my question, because I heard us... Go ahead, yeah. We can do whatever, Jack.
Can we flip-flop this so the depress
I'm
is in
working on
picture-in-picture? Thank you. Sorry, I'm giving you work here. Sorry, Das, go ahead. Please continue.
Oh, no. So my question, right, is whether or not the sparks get dimmer at the same time as the flames get dimmer. Because I was trying to figure out, are they emitting or are they illuminated, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to click through these one frame at a time. So, Michael, I'm actually not monitoring right now. I was just watching this.
Let
me get there.
You're full screen right now with the live video in the corner.
All right, cool. Give me 2 seconds to pop that out so I can see what we've got. There we go. Okay, so the live picture's in the little picture-in-picture, and then this is the replay down here. So you'll see my mouse and stuff like that, right? But let me hit just frame by frame here. All right, pause it. Next frame, next frame, next frame, a little bit off the top there. Yep. Wow, that's right. It's 60 frames per second, so it's a lot of frames to get to the next part. All right, there you can see thrust, right? You see a big cloud of dust coming out in the tank farm, so you know you've got some thrust. And let's see exactly when those sparks start to come up. Thrust, thrust, thrust. Nothing yet. I'm just going one frame at a time, just clicking along here. I forgot that this was 60 frames per second.
No worries. This is important. You know, this is a significant period of time where we are not seeing sparks. So
Yeah.
that's part of the data that we have on hand.
There we go.
Right there is the first frame that has sparks in it. And we could go back and count the frames and that sort of stuff. But you can see the sparks right here. And I don't know, you guys just talk over me, but this... Can I draw a straight line? I'm actually going to get a credit card or something to draw a straight line on my screen. Here we go, business
That
card.
does not look like it's on fire to me.
Let's see. I'm just lining up that exactly straight. That's a straight line from the trajectory of what I see those sparks to be. So it looks like it's coming out from right at the bottom of the rocket. You guys think it's coming from the ground?
Yeah,
Like a
maybe,
ricochet?
yeah, concrete or something else getting bounced off. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, I wanted to do that. Here, I'm going to, look, I'll just hide that real quick. And I was going by the exact trajectory, like the line of that one little piece right there where I was drawing that line, right?
Some people think ice, but I'm wondering if it was ice, why we would not have seen this before. Concrete seems like something, you know, the concrete gets worn out over time and eventually it gives way, but I would have thought we would have seen ice before.
Yeah.
Ice
So
makes zero sense.
It really doesn't. I don't think ice makes any sense to me, but I'm going to try to keep going forward frame by frame here.
Yeah, let's go.
So there's some more frames.
It's interesting the angle that you got was different than the angle that Scott got on his composite that he did. But look at that. That's two separate angles now. Now we've got, you know, a more vertical component and the more horizontal component. And that could just be like chunks of concrete, you know, ablating. And, you know, it's creating a different jagged surface so that things bounce off in different ways as the concrete chunks away. I don't know. I'm guessing here, but
yeah, here. I'm going to grab a couple of them and just try to line up some sparks, and I'm just doing the best I can with the Telestrator.
Yeah. No,
that's
awesome.
one. This one's sort of tough to do. I don't think we could really get anything up. Let's do this one where we have like two chunks sort of in the same line. But that sort of looks like one. I don't know, Chad, if y'all agree with me on this or not.
I would agree with that.
I'm just looking for ones
I really don't know.
Yeah. Some of these over here, these look like they're already arcing, right? So they look like they're starting to go down a little bit. Just gravity pulling them down. But from that, we get two converging lines. I mean, there's a lot of sparks in there, but let's see if it continues to do it. The way I've drawn it here, I mean, my line may be too long, so maybe the line needs to end here or something like that, like off to one side or something, right? But let's keep frame by framing it here. Just still watching that. Now there's so many sparks, it's almost hard to see the frame by frame. But I want to get up to the point, a little bit of video hiccup there. I want to get up to the point, wow, quite a bit of video hiccup there. That's all in the source video off the broadcast. All right, hang on. That'll rectify itself shortly, hopefully. There we go. Come on. All right, here we go. We got an actual frame off the camera. So when do they get dark? Well, not yet, apparently.
I see most of them fading out before I see the all of the red light vehicle go away, and that's what I'm seeing when I replayed it over. We'll see something different in the frame by frame.
Yeah, I'm literally just stepping one frame at a time. They all look like they're still lit right now, right?
Yep.
And that
Encoder
video,
does
wow.
not like this.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Again, this isn't off the camera. This is off the broadcast. So normally this plays so quickly you don't notice it, right?
I don't. Did it?
I don't know.
I feel like I would have noticed that.
Yeah, I just lost it there. Hang on a second. I think I've super confused VLC, actually. VLC is giving me no control anymore.
It's like, no.
It's literally not responding. It does not want me to do anything. All right, Michael, flip back for a second while I fix this, if you could.
And hit it. Wrong one.
I'm just going to completely reload the video.
What? Oh. See, this is why I don't operate the streams. There we go. You're good.
Wait, what are you doing? Okay, there. Yes, now we're good.
I was in studio mode, and I forgot about that. Okay, we're good.
Ah. All right, let me bring that up one more time here. I'm just loading it again from scratch because I apparently confused VLC, which is what I was using to play it. All right, okay, I'm good if you switch it back now.
There we go.
All right, so I'm going to frame by frame it again here. I wonder if that was VLC doing all those video artifacts.
I think it was. I don't think it glitched like that in during the firing.
Yeah, but look, playing it back here, it looks like it's playing okay. I'm just doing a couple frames at a time. All right, all still lit up. Wow, there was a secondary ejection. You see that?
Yeah.
A couple more high velocity ones came out after the fact. Okay, but this is what I wanted to look at specifically. This is where the flames start to subside, so it gets darker down below. And let's see if the little pixels, the little flying debris, get dark at the same time that the flames below get dark. So I'm just going to go frame by frame again. Next frame. Next frame.
See, it's darkening and they're not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a big change in the light at the base right now, but you see the debris sort of winking out one at a time. Does that make sense?
Yep. It's like they're going out rather than not illuminating a light that's going away. That's what it looks like to me. I could totally be wrong.
Jack, I sort of agree with that assessment, because if it was chunks of concrete being illuminated by the light of the engine, you would expect them all to go dark at the same time, right? But here we see like one wink out.
Metal or anything. If it was reflecting light, you would expect them to go out simultaneously.
Maybe the light gets low enough that smaller pieces aren't reflecting enough to be seen by the camera or something like that. Maybe, I don't know, that feels like a stretch. But you see pieces sort of disappearing here. Now see, I don't know if those are are they reappearing? I'm watching this one big chunk here, right? There's one big chunk. Is it going to fade out, or is it going to disappear all of a sudden? See, look, okay, it got bright. The base got bright again, but other chunks didn't reappear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you get this other flare up down at the base, and I would look at this. I almost agree that this looks like it's brighter off the side of SN8, right? That doesn't look like it's right underneath SN8.
No, yeah, it looks like something maybe on the pad or yeah, that's very curious to the location of that intensity lights of the light source right there.
Yeah, maybe there's just enough dust between us and the camera, like down the center, that it blocks the light, but over on the side there's not enough dust to block it. I don't know on that one. Let's see when that big chunk fades out. It's like one of the only chunks still there.
Scott says brightness will depend on particle cross-section.
Right, that's what we were saying, like the size, is it turned towards you? Do you have like a big cross-section sort of reflecting the light at you or not? Well, that just went too far forwards. All right.
I want to see the part after this, though. There's also some fire from the engine area after the shutdown, which is something that just happens. I don't think that's necessarily a huge problem, but...
Yeah. I mean, that one largest chunk stays lit the entire time. Let's see here. Where's that big chunk? That chunk right there. You can see it go all the way down. Let me see. It almost looks like it might be tumbling or something, like blinking. Jeez, I don't know. Again, y'all, we're just sort of rolling back the tape and watching this. We don't know exactly what happened. I don't know that I can conclusively say those things were emitting or being illuminated. I don't know. What do y'all think, Jack? Michael?
Yeah. It's hard to say. I'm not convinced it was a problem with Raptor, though. I will say that much.
Gotcha. Let me see if I can do loop. Where's the slow-mo? Not original size. I gotta figure out the hotkey for slow-mo.
Yeah, it's hard, man. That's hard to say one way or the other. And Scott Manley, I know, is on Twitter saying that they're reflecting. Feel I feel super sketchy about going up against Scott Manley on anything. So I really, one way or the other, we're gonna have to wait and see what the result of this was.
Yeah, I mean, you have so many variables in play. It could be that the flames, the light source down below is getting smaller, so smaller pieces become not visible, right? That may be
Yep.
something that makes smaller pieces wink out first, right? It may be that the dust between some pieces increases, blocking more of the light, so those pieces don't get illuminated, right? That could be a possibility as well. It could be that they are actually emitting. They're molten metal or something like that, and you see them sort of wink out. I don't. Oh, geez, I really don't know if that's the case. I can't come up with something that would have been liquefied to a hot enough temperature in that short static fire and then been emitting light as it flew through the air like that.
Yeah.
Like, it envisions these pictures of a steel furnace or something and these molten chunks of steel flying out of this furnace or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was enough time for that to happen. It's not a long static fire, right?
So then bits of metal or something that will reflect light, like maybe just a piece of, I don't know, a piece of steel let go. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah. Let's see here.
do you think it would be enough time for Raptor to melt parts of itself and vomit them?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, here we go. All right. Look. I can play it in super slow motion. So like down to 10% speed. Let's try that and see what we get. Wow, that beeper in the background over there.
They're really backing up.
Yeah, they are. I don't know where they're going.
Backwards.
But there's all the thrust again. And you can see thrust being developed. Dust coming out from under SN8. And there come the first sparks. It really does look like something let go and flew all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you got thrust, you got a bunch of dust coming out the side, and then all of a sudden, blam, a shower of sparks comes through. It really looks like something let go, and either it was on the ground and it let go and flew up in that direction, or it was coming out of the engine, ricocheting off the ground. Do we know if there was anything underneath SN8?
At this point, I'm wondering if a worker whoops, I left my toolbox, and we're just seeing like a wrench, screwdriver, stuff get vaporized. But no, I don't think we know that. I think that's probably one of the things they check very closely is to make sure there's no FOD around the pad like that.
I'm gonna go back one more time and see if we can. Let's see here. When I watched that one piece we were looking at, it almost looks like a tumble, like a piece that's tumbling and it's getting brighter and darker and brighter and darker as it tumbles. I don't know. Let's watch one more time, y'all. So there's thrust being created. Big plume of dust. Interestingly coming off from the left-hand side, and there's whatever seemingly let go suddenly and threw this shower of sparks out the side. And these chunks, look at these chunks right here. Those chunks look like they are tumbling. I don't know if y'all can see that or if I'm just seeing it on source. Here's a big one. Watch this one right here. That's pretty consistent. Lose the contrast there, or get some more contrast. Let's see if this one, does it get brighter and darker? Darker. I don't. That's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
That time it looked less like a tumble and more like a fade out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's like I can see in it whatever I want to see.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's like one of those magic eyes or whatever. Squint
It's like
really long and you'll see a sailboat.
a rocket exhaust Rorschach test, or however you pronounce that, right?
Yeah. I'm really curious about the pieces that go vertical. Almost at the very end there's several pieces that go straight up and actually to the left over the nose cone. Look closely. Like, what? What? I don't know what we're seeing. Not yet. Wait for it. They're very high velocity. There.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like one almost ricocheted off the
It
forward
did.
fin or
It
something.
absolutely did. Yes. Good eye. So, not ice. I really don't think that's ice.
And hey, there was actually one that appeared behind the dust cloud on the left-hand side as well. Did you see that one?
No.
See
Play
if
it
I can
again.
bring it up
Play
again
it again,
here.
Sam.
Yeah, play it again, Sam. Right in this area. Watch, I know I'm just doing the mouse right now. Here. Somewhere in this area, there's one that appears halfway through, I think. All right, here we go. I think VLC is getting unhappy with me again. Did I circle the correct spot? Right there. There it is. See it poking through?
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a completely different direction.
It is a completely different direction. But I cannot get over the one that goes directly up. Like, it literally just goes straight up. Like, bzzz. Yeah, mud or
Yeah, those
wonder
are the
what
ones-
size the debris is. Yeah.
Those are the ones that really perplex me, the ones that go straight up. But really, all of them. Dying to know what just happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, y'all, we're looking at this. We're looking at the video that we can see here. We don't have all the information. We're literally just guessing. That beeper keeps beeping. Pixels in the smoke.
Good band name.
Yeah, Pixels in the smoke. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll jump forward and we'll look at the fire on the pad after the fact or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and while it might be unsatisfying for us to say we don't know, it's important that we do that and not just make up wild theories and purport them as true. You know, that's not what we do.
Yeah, leave that.
And I'm not saying that's what other people are doing. I appreciate people like Scott and others coming up with, input, and it could very well be that they're 100% correct. But just to be clear, I'm not afraid to say I don't know. I think nobody should be afraid to say I don't, because I don't know.
One of the worst things you can do is act like you know when you don't, especially when you're in a position to talk to it. Oh, there's that fire. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
There we go.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That is
very long though.
Yeah. That looks like flames coming out of the engine,
Yeah.
Yes.
falling down. I think I've got this at 50%. Yeah, that's at 50% speed right now. And it does look like it increases. I don't think that's the dust thinning out. I think that's more flame sort of increasing all of a sudden and then backing off as it pukes out like the last of whatever it is that's burning there.
Well,
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean, go for
I
it,
was gonna
Michael.
say, that was an interesting static fire for sure, and I think that's the first time we've got a static fire in that lighting, if I'm not mistaken. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was
Super
definitely cool. Anyways, I saw we were talking about what happened, so I quickly readied the ability to do the replay and stuff like that. But that's why I wanted to jump in real quick there.
Meanwhile,
think-
at the pad,
Thank you.
we can see that small vent again, so they're almost done depressing. And the bull vent, Dot's favorite.
The bull vent, nice. Oh,
Look
that
at
is
that.
the bull snort vent. Look at that. That's a serious bull snort vent.
You know how they do like for tourist maps for certain cities or whatever, they'll do like the cartoon map and like have everything kind of like a caricature of the real thing. I don't know. We're gonna have to end up doing one of those for the tank farm and for the launch pad there. Just have it with all the actual goofy names and everything. Anyways, We have a whole bunch of super chats. Our queue of super chats is super stale, and I mean we were obviously reacting to the events that we saw. So apologies we didn't get to these earlier. But as we wrap up, I think we should run through them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see. Chimo, thank you for the €5. They say from Ireland, watching and waiting. Good luck, guys. Thank you, Chimo. Harry Young, thank you for the €5. Yay, second static fire attempt right when my GPU needed a break. Oh no, sorry, Harry. Thank you for the €5. Pedro, thank you for the €2. Celadon Hair Extraordinaire, thank you for the $5 New Zealand dollars. They say my bet is on ice or debris from the ground. Well, that's your bet. I don't know if I would take that bet. Hopefully Raptor didn't just eat itself. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully it did not eat itself, but we just don't know. Jonathan, thank you for the $5. They say 9K watchers. Hit that like button. And let's light this candle. Thank you, Jonathan, for the $5 and for encouraging people to like the stream. Donald, thank you for the $5. They say exciting times. Thanks, Gary, and you all. Thank you, Donald. Rob Womack, thank you for the $2. Your opinion on dogs is fine. I like dogs and cats. It's really all animals. Animals good. I don't need to take a side there. Ace King, thank you for the $2. They say at least she is still there, guys. Fair enough. At least SN8 is still on the pad intact. Proper Sensitive, thank you for the 5 curly L's. They say you guys think that was a pre-burner? Kind of looked like. Nope. That sure looked like a static fire based on, like we were talking about earlier, DOS was pointing at thrust. Pre-burner test does not generate thrust. So not a pre-burner. That was a static fire. Whether or not it was a successful static fire, will that remain? Paul from Norway. What are you doing? What is she doing? Can you see what she's doing? My cat is walking on my computer right now. What are you?
Are we talking about the cat? Like, what are you talking about?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My cat decided to try and walk directly across my entire setup for the first time
ever. Just got
ever.
a bingo.
Uh-oh.
Oh! Go, cat. I swear I didn't do that on purpose.
Yes, you did.
Okay, no. Okay, fine. Paul from Norway, thank you for the North Korean dollars. Yes, I said that on purpose. You say every astronaut and NASA spaceflight contact each other. We need better audio.
I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we'll take that suggestion. Thanks, Paul. Tech Controls, thank you for the $5. They say, is it possible LOX outpouring could have formed ice on the ground, and that is what we saw, flying up in pieces. I feel like the ice would sublimate if it gets hit by a Raptor thrust, but I don't know that. I really don't think it was ice, though, but fair guess. Thank you for the support, Tech Controls. Daniel, thank you for the 100 currency units. CA&P Railroad, thank you for the $2. Again with the ice talk. I really don't think it was ice, and I could completely be wrong, but I really don't think it was ice.
Where would it come from?
Yeah, right. Like,
I don't know. Anyways.
Thank you. Omelet du fromage, thank you for the $5. They say, is the ground on fire anywhere? If not, then it's probably a good thing for the engine. I don't think the ground's on fire, but I'm not quite sure what you're getting at there. Either way, thank you for the support. Annie Chris, thank you for the $1. Jim Denton, thank you for the $5. They say right at start there was sparks above 2 center tank farm tanks, small left spark. Yeah, we were looking at those sparks. Pointing that out, Jim, and thanks for the support. Mark Mueller. I don't know what level you came in at. I don't think I can tell anymore. No, I can't. Well, whatever level you came in, Mueller. Thank you for the membership. Padrat, awesome. Throw some emoji. Oh,
Jack,
nice.
Yeah, I cheat because if you keep up the Fleet Cam chat while this stream is going, it puts the new members in Fleet Cam as well, and all that's there right now are the new members. So.
Oh, I saw you mention that in Discord the other day. That is a good hack right there. Nice. And then Paul from Norway again. They're asking Scott Manley a question. Thank you for the support, Paul. And Imagine, thank you for the $4.99. They say, I figured it out. It was the Butterball turkey mentioned yesterday. I think that's an appropriate final super chat. Thank you, everybody, so much for the support. It's why we are able to do what we do, and we all truly enjoy it, and we hope you do too. So thank you for the support. Thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts. Thank you for the support and for watching, and for helping this channel be what it is. What did we just see, you guys? What was that?
Jack, you still have 2 more.
Oh no!
What?
It's a good problem to have. Tim, thank you for the $4.99. They say, why the direction thrust does the engine gimbal during static fire? I don't know if it does or not. That's a good question. And
Okay,
Curtis
this super chat is great. I've already read it and I approve.
Curtis Thompson says, I think Zeus walked under the Raptors at the wrong time. That's like something straight out of a video game or something. Just like, whoops, and then it gets roasted. That's great. Thank you so much, Curtis, for the $5.
Anyway,
Well,
should we give Mary a break?
yep, I
Yeah.
think that's a good call. For sure, they're not going to be firing this thing or doing anything else tonight other than opening the road once it's safe, heading to the pad, and figuring out quite what just happened. So, yeah, I don't know. Michael, thank you for joining us tonight. I know, I don't know. I'm so mind blown. Michael, talk. Say words. Say goodbye.
Thanks to everyone for tuning in today. That was the first static fire using the liquid oxygen header tank at the top of the nose cone. So, if all went well, another step towards SN8's 15-kilometer hop test that we're all looking forward to. Thanks also to DOS for joining in at the end to give us that awesome replay of the frame-by-frame analysis of that interesting debris we saw.
Credit for showing up in the last 15 minutes of the stream when y'all have been live for 4 hours. Y'all are the ones who deserve the love for holding it down for 4 hours. You and Jack and Mary out there running the camera. Thank y'all for making this happen today.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you were able to show up and help us out with the frame-by-frame there. That is very valuable. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mary, of course, is also the one in the field bringing us this live view. She's at Boca Chica Gal on Twitter. So give her a follow if you haven't already. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Any closing words, Jack?
I'm Jack. This is my voice, if you're wondering who you've been listening to this whole time. Closing words? No, I think you said it best. Like, hopefully if this fire was successful, that's another step towards Starship conducting its historic 15-kilometer hop, flight, or whatever you want to call it. And if it wasn't, well, we've seen Raptor 42 delivered a couple days ago. So they have Raptors on site. They can swap the Raptor out. Hopefully SN8 at large is okay if there even is any problem with anything else. But yeah, that was something. I'm going to get right on editing the daily video, presumably that will have this footage in it. And I'm excited to touch it, and I'm excited to show you guys all this slow-mo replays and all the good stuff. Thanks for watching.
Cool. Well, with that, I don't know when our next Starship stream is going to be. It's hard to say if that test is going to, take a couple of days now for them to review the data, or if they're going to do another static fire tomorrow. But we are expecting a couple more hops before the before the hops. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for updates, and we will see you all when the next testing opportunity with Starship happens. There's also the Crew 1 launch later this week. So Saturday at 7:49 p.m. Eastern is the scheduled launch for that, and we'll be live, I think, a couple hours beforehand. Does that sound right?
Yeah, a couple hours beforehand on that. And then also tomorrow, we're looking at seeing if we can't roll a remote out for the Crew 1 static fire. That is tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
I think it's a couple hours earlier this time, potentially.
Gotcha. So we'll be watching that, and I know I've been working with the team down there at the Cape to get a remote packed up so that we can hopefully share that static fire. But that's going to depend on exactly when it happens, where they can get to, what's open, what's closed, and is it safe for them to go there. So be on the lookout for that Crew 1 static fire as well.
Cool. Well, with that, we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching.
Later, nerds.
Chamber pressure looks good. Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Flight outside of speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.